Yes, hello. I am James Roden. It's the WNR593. It's the WWE Elimination Chamber 2026. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to be back. Time to be on the road to the big show, as they say, and trying it's good to stay up to date, and ready to catch up. I'm excited. It's always good to talk about these shows, yeah, I'm interested to see where is everybody's mind state with WWE is right now because I've been hearing and I have my own widespread range of opinions. So this show should be a really interesting one in my opinion because uh, I think this can go a number of ways.
And who could forget what I want? You got it might be hard to handle, like a flame that burns a candle, but the candle fades the flame. Yeah, what I got full stock of thoughts and dreams I scatter, and I pull them all together, and how I can't explain. Oh yeah, well you make my dreams come true. Ooh. Yes, it's the girl that makes my dreams come true. The Hall to my oats, the Barrymore to my Sandler. It is Gene. How's it going, G?
Yo, but I'm the Bonnie to your Clyde as well.
Yes.
We'll go with
Yes,
that.
bruv.
What's up? I'm looking forward to this review. We got a lot to unpack. I really am trying to keep my brain intact with where I'm at because I'm trying to watch some New Japan wrestling as well. So the timelines are starting to blur together of everything.
Yes. It's
So I'll do
horrible.
my best. Yeah, I'll do my best to keep on top of things today, but you may have to check me.
Yeah, well, we're catching up at the moment, right? As we finish this pod, I promise everybody will be up to date with WWE. Unfortunately, it will be a Raw, but hey, we try and, like I said, small doses, small doses. But we have a hell of a show today. We've got Chamber Review, but we're going to start with Raw and SmackDown catch up. We had last left it at the Royal Rumble. So Raw, February 2nd. Bron Breakker started the show furious with what happened at the Rumble. Unfortunately, he picked a fight with the wrong opponent. It was the announce table which actually injured Bron. Monty, he's out with a hernia. I mean, there's been a lot of probably funny wrestling injuries, but this has got to be up there, hasn't it? Especially towards Mania now.
Oh man, yeah, it's definitely funny in hindsight. I just think at the time, I think I almost was just like, I don't want to say I was in shock, but it was just like, don't tell me he got injured. He missed the table. It was like, what a ridiculous way to kind of, like you say, that be in the situation. And this confirmed it, man. This, in my opinion, like I heard you a while back talk about how every segment that the division was in you've been over it for a while, and I get it. And I always was like, I understand, but maybe if Seth didn't get injured, but this vision stuff, bro, it's cursed. Like I don't know what it is. Like the storytelling was never the most interesting story beat in a sense. Uh, so you had that to deal with, and then now you got untimely injuries and just we don't know what's what. I thought honestly, I was thinking Braun was not was throughout the rumble early because he was working through something. So the fact that that might not have been true, and he just they did a storyline angle just for him to hurt himself. And right after, it's just like how can what? Give me a scenario. I can't think of nothing off the top of my head that's supposed to be like a leading storyline of a brand show like this that seemed to be more cursed when you just think about the execution of it all. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it might improve. Who knows? But like bronze injury, yeah, it's not something you see happen every day. Like I said, Heyman did drone on. Pierce appeared to help Breaker with him to keep his job despite a piss poor performance in the Rumble. Doesn't matter now, does it really? LA Knight sneak attack to the Vision. John Evans beat El Grande Americano thanks to the original El Grande Americano. AJ Styles' theme music played and Gunter entered the arena, mocking the man he retired Saturday night in Saudi Arabia. Dragon Lee rushed the ring and took the fight to the former world champion. A well-timed shot turned the tide in Hill's favour and allowed him to put Lee to sleep twice. Gina, we're going to speak a lot about Dragon Lee and Gunter, but this kind of kicked it off. First, I loved the fire in Dragon Lee, and Gunter was already hanging Dragon Lee off the ring. You would have thought Dragon Lee would probably gone, it's not going to end well for me in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought that Dragon Lee would have seen Gunther's body of work and thought how this is probably going to end. But like you said, I got to respect the anger that you could feel coming from Dragon Lee in just thinking, do you know what, fuck it. I'm probably going to be strung out at the end of this, but if I can get a good few licks in, a few good clean hits, I'll feel satisfied with it. So I think that was the mentality he had going into it.
Yeah, and he hasn't forgot about being tag team champion of AJ, even if most of us have. So, I mean, fair play to that. Speaking of tag teams, Eric and Ivar, the War Raiders, awaited their tag team match, but former NXT champion Obafemi's music played and he just obliterated him. Again, I don't mind Obafemi destroying people. It's just a shame it's the War Raiders who probably will be cut because Triple H hates tag teams. Bellas want the tag team titles. Once Reed lost a Penta via count out. LA Knight helped Penta. Dominic Mysterio returned for the first time from injury. Again, it was nice to see Dom, but Monty, it kind of overshadowed Liv Morgan talking about who she would pick as Rumble winner. So it's a kind of double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, I understand that they kind of paired together so that when Dom returned, uh, kind of made sense to kind of go ahead and just do it. But it did give off a vibe of, like you said, not I don't want to say unfocused, but it's just like, okay, let's kill two birds with one stone. Let's get Dom, let's get Dom back, but let's also go ahead and have Liv, try to talk about what her plans for Mania is. So I get it, but it's definitely a little bit of the clunky on the execution when you think about this. So depending on what side or what you watch for, you probably was more interested in one part of the scenario. You probably cared that, oh yeah, he Dom's back, but then immediately, if you were way more interested in what Liv got going on, the focus was there. So I kind of understand the logic of trying to do it, but at the same time, it definitely can be overshadowing in a sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. We have the Philadelphia street fight for the women's world title, Stephanie Vaquer versus Raquel Rodriguez. What in all generic themes have they done to Stephanie's music? Why do they have to do it to it happens all the time. They have a good tune and then they just change it. As for the match, it was quite fun. La Pereira got the victory. And in the main event segment, Roman Reigns hit the ring to address his Rumble win. He recalled he won his first W Championship in the city and lost his last one in the same place. When he won his first Rumble in Philly, the fans did not sound nearly as complimentary to him as he did on this night. He turned his attention to WrestleMania, and the champion who should challenge at the event was CM Punk being the crowd's choice. World champ joined Reigns in the ring for a big pop. Punk immediately addressed Finn Balor's early words. Reigns took exception, and the world champion claimed the tribal chief was visiting. Punk reminded Reigns he once ruled over WWE's champion for 434 days with Paul Heyman by his side. Just because you did it longer doesn't mean you did it better. There was some great back and forth. And Reigns basically said to Punk, I hate you. I mean, Gina, this promo set out the stage, Reigns picking Punk because he hates him. I mean, it might have diminished the WWE Championship a little bit, but it was still great stuff, though.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those matches that if it didn't have a title tied to it, it still wouldn't be affected. I think, the high intensity of the match will always be there just because of how good of that promo that Roman and CM Punk just put on for us. I
Mm.
could feel the hatred, and I'm a fan of CM Punk, but by the end of it, I was channeling Roman, and I was mad. So yeah, I definitely think that it's one of those things that it can overshadow the belt a little bit because of the feud is that big, but that's a good thing in a way. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. But do you think how much mileage Punk has got from that, like I said, pissing all those people off like 10 years ago? Do you know what I mean? Roman is still hold a grudge. He had Rollins. I wonder who else is going to come out.
Yeah, there could be a few people who get revived out of this.
It's just everybody hates Punk still. SmackDown, February 6th. WWE Champion Drew McIntyre made his way to the ring to kick off the show. Before Drew could actually get in the ring, Cody Rhodes attacked him from behind. Drew began beating him up until security separated him. The American Nightmare grabbed the mic and cut a promo on the man who eliminated from the Rumble, and he called himself Raheem for some reason. Rhodes ended the promo and stared at WrestleMania sign, knowing his path to the event was still unclear. Monty, we have chatted about what Cody said, and maybe we're not going to go into like so much detail, but it was just a weird line.
Yeah, it was weird. It was. I think again, like I said, more so it gets. I understood the meaning of it, and I know he went in detail and had to explain it. Even though I often tell, especially people who are not people of color or black people, I often tell them if you feel like you gotta come out and explain something you said that's racially charged, you probably said something wrong. Did you feel like you got if you feel like you got to clarify and explain your thought process around it, you most like. And oftentimes when people of color are offended by it, then I don't think it's your place to ever be like, oh well, I don't know why y'all offended, blah blah blah. It's like no, just you can ask why and try to get clarification, but like dismissing it ain't ever the right way. I just think what he did was just like something as black people we kind of used to, like especially in America, like we don't really our like we don't get thought of until like after the offense in a sense. Even if you say you thought of it or whatever, then once somebody say that they're offended, then it's like, oh man, it's like, wow, I didn't mean anything by what you offended, as if everybody know your intent and et cetera, et cetera. And then it creates these weird people who obviously don't care about whether or not you offended. And I think that's probably the worst part about what Cody said is that you got a whole bunch of people talking about Cody's family and bringing that as explanation for why Cody should be allowed to make racially stereotypical jokes or whatever or references. And like I always said, it doesn't help that this is Black History Month and he works in a company that refuses to acknowledge that that exists like they do for any other of the, you know, uh, holidays or whatever. So like, and we all know why if you've been paying attention to what who WWE is aligned with and what they kind of got going on. So yeah, it came off as nasty to some people, and I wasn't necessarily overly offended because I knew where what was coming from, and I knew it was most likely just a joke. But that ain't me telling nobody else to not be offended or not understand. And I think that's what a lot of people need to do a better job of is when you're not familiar with why something is offensive or you know cultural like boundaries and stuff like that. Like instead of just being so worried about trying to tell somebody like I didn't get the offense. I don't understand. Either try to understand or just shut up.
Mm, yeah. But it's true. I mean, again, I tell everybody that I'm hung like a donkey. So that's a different thing. Anyway, moving on. Rio retained against Kiana James and Julia. Seeing the Genius of the Sky battle of Beautiful Madness was the best part. We thought we were going to see Ilya Dragunov's challenge for the United States Championship, but ended up being The Miz following the backstage interaction. Miz put on another great performance, but Mello don't miss. Chamber qualifier Tiffany Stratton beat Chelsea Green and Lash Legend. Gina, this just shows how strong the women's division really is. We're going to talk about the women's tag division, everything like that. The women are blossoming. Me. It happened on NXT, and we're seeing it now on the main roster as well.
Yeah, definitely. But it also makes it so sad when you realize that you get to a pay-per-view event and there's only one or two matches on there, and you're thinking there's this whole roster of
Mhm.
female wrestlers who have so much to give, and there's just so much story you could do with a lot of them, but they're just not being utilized. So it's just really sad because you get moments like this that you get reminded of how stacked the female roster is, and how little storylines they're really getting unless they get bunched together.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. Like I said, to not see Lash Legend Chelsea Green in the chamber is a shame. Kit Wilson came to the ring. Yes, boy. He put an open challenge to anyone who was in the Rumble with him, which was answered by Obafemi. No, boy. The ruler made light work of the Toxic Avenger. Jacob Fatu sneak tack Drew McIntyre. Tamatonga beat Nakamura for arguably his biggest singles victory in WWE. Liv Morgan came to SmackDown and well, didn't really say much. He was with Rodriguez. Jay Cargill came out and so did Jordan Grace. So, of course, this led to a tag team match. Grace ended up getting the win for a team. It wasn't bad, but it didn't exactly leave a lasting impression. We did get an Apollo Crews sighting, which is always good to see. He is still smiling. Drew McIntyre finally got his promo. Talked about feeling insulted by Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Rightfully so. The WWE Championship is the most important title in WWE. He had a quick interaction with Trick Williams before leaving the ring. And then we had the main event with Orton, Black, and Sikoa competing for the Elimination Chamber. The Viper scored the win with an RKO to Sikoa, earning his 10th Chamber match. No real surprise there, Monty, with the result. And Randy, his 10th Chamber, man. He's going to start beating all those Kane records, you know what I mean? And the Undertaker records soon as well, which is going to make me feel old.
Him and the Miz, too, for that.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah,
think even
excellent point. Yeah.
right, because Miz got some Royal Rumbles. I know at least about to get a Royal Rumble appearance record anyway. But yeah, yeah. I mean, and guess what? In an interview or whatever, he's talking about. Like, I know people were curious because we got the AJs and the, of course, John Cena retired and peers of his, and he was just like, no, I want to wrestle another 10 years, and he looks great. So, but yeah, so I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'm just saying he plans to be around. At least that's the way he talks about it. So he definitely gonna have all the record if he survives 10. Ric Flair, Cena better watch out. Like, if he can last another 10 years, he will have everything there is when it comes to those records. So it's insane. But when you think about how young he started, and like basically how when he was very very early to mid 20s, he was already on like Raw regularly and doing stuff with Evolution. So like when you really think about it, his arc has been, and basically until he got that neck slash back injury that he got later, like a few years back, he was pretty much around all the time. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
yeah, Randy don't really get enough credit for just kind of like being that Iron Man in a sense, or just being always there. So if anybody can do it for the next decade and be successful, Randy seems like he's on the way to having that capability of doing it because he looks fantastic.
Yeah, without a doubt. Raw February 9th, AJ Lee kicked off Raw, but could barely address the crowd before Becky Lynch interrupted. We got a back and forth, and it was Lynch insisting on a one-on-one match, and it was made for Elimination Chamber. Gina, are we surprised that this wasn't WrestleMania? We're getting AJ Lee and Becky Lynch at the Chamber?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised because I thought this was a WrestleMania match in the making. So when it was announced for the Chamber, I mean, I wasn't mad. I was just surprised. They're not going to long it out, and they're just going to get on with the match and the feud between Becky and AJ. So I wasn't mad at it. But again, for me, that is kind of the idea of what they would have had in mind for like Becky's WrestleMania moment would be to go against AJ Lee.
Mm.
So maybe we still will get that. Maybe we'll get like a 2.0 of them at WrestleMania. But yeah, I was a little shocked that it was announced for the Chamber instead.
Yeah, without a doubt. Jimmy survived long enough to stay in his tag team title match. A team with Jay to deliver 1D to Otis for the win and successful title defense. Otis is still over. It's still great to see. Liv Morgan still hasn't decided. Vaquero wants Liv to pick her. Elimination Chamber qualifier Ray Ripley versus Lyra Valkyria versus Ivy Nile. Ivy did look great, but Ripley recovered and hit the Riptide to cash her ticket to Chicago. Before Michael Cole conducted an interview with CM Punk, Finn Balor interrupting and demanded a rematch in Punk's hometown. Adam Pearce finally agreed. Punk said he shows up to fight anyone, anytime, any place because the fans deserve it. Monty, it makes you sick, doesn't it? Balor's getting his rematch. The only thing I liked about it was the fact kind of we're getting a home and away match because obviously the first match was in Ireland, and now we're getting Chicago. They should do more of that.
Yeah, I wonder that this like the not the first time, but that would be cool little trend if they could try to find a way to do that more often. You know, kind of make it kind of like sports teamy in a sense like that. But yeah, I don't mind it. I do agree. I do think I don't know. I'm waiting, and I think maybe we'll see kind of going forward with Punk right now. But like that's the one thing about Punk being champion and like some of the stuff he says every now and then. Like I don't know. I love Punk. I always did. Babyface or heel. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. Like seeing Punk say some of the things he say sometimes because he's so like babyface, like it's just so weird to me, man. Because like he, even when he used to be a face, but when we were younger, he was kind of like he had an edge to him. He would be, I mean, that's pretty much his whole thing. Was like even the rebel in him was kind of like what was so popular. So like for him, I'm not even just talking about how corporate he is, because that's obviously still kind of weird, but it's just like I can't wait till the shoe to drop. I really do want. I'm not past what Punk is doing now because I still think he's doing some of the best work he's ever done. But I'm interested to see what happens when he finally gets to be a heel again in WWE in his current form now. Because I don't know about you guys, but Punk was always at his best to me as a bad guy. So I can't wait to see when that happens. But yeah, it's always weird to me when he says certain things like that whole, oh yeah, the fans deserve it. And it's just like, man, that seems weird coming from Punk. Because
Yeah.
I never really thought he cared so much about, people opinion. Like he never really gave off that energy if you know anything about Punk outside of the ring. But anyway,
He said it to John Cena. That's what the good thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just exactly. He's literally turned into John Cena, and I think that was also one of the funny things about Cena's farewell tour and some of the interviews. If you listen to the way even Cena talks about Punk now, and he's just like, oh, he's so happy Punk's back, and like, oh, the Punk's personality and just how good friends they are, and it's just so weird to me
It is
when I just
horrible.
think about them both at their peaks, like being polar opposites. But yeah, this is very funny. But again, I don't know. Maybe I'll be waiting forever, and they're printing good money with Punk as a face. So maybe Roman will probably have to lean more to his cheap side instead of vice versa. But I wouldn't mind us getting that side of field again because I think that's him at his best and probably at
Yeah.
his most honest.
Yeah, Natty versus Maxine Dupree before the bell. Natty attacked Dupree, brutalizing her, sent into the ring steps and the ring post for applying the sharpshooter on the commentary table. AJ Lee made the save, coming to the aid of the Intercontinental Champion. To help capture the IC title, she helped Dupree out the arena. Becky Lynch attacked Lee, sending her into the ring post. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to get a fatal four-way or something like that from that. Evans and the original El Grande Americano defeated Bravo and Ryo. Elimination Chamber qualified Penta versus LA Knight versus Austin Theory. Well, Bronson Reed came in to deliver a tsunami tonight for Adam Pearce ordered them away from the ring. And even with all that help, Theory still couldn't do it as LA Knight delivered a BFT to cash his ticket. Gina, I mean, LA Knight is, I would say, very popular. But again, it's just, I'm glad he's at the chamber, but I think it's just to, again, Triple H is doing this just to make people happy because it's like he's not going to win. And I think that's a shame.
Yeah, it really is a shame because although LA Knight is over, he has the fan base, he has the fans there behind him. Does anyone genuinely believe he's going into this chamber and winning it? Because I think a good 80% of us will probably think not, and that's not because we don't want him to or that we don't actually believe he could win the chamber. I think it's just because the other players that they've put in there, we know that there's other people being pushed higher than LA Knight right now. So right now, I kind of took it as okay, LA Knight is in this match, but he's just going to be one of the ones to take the fall and be eliminated.
Mm.
That's what I took from it. And again, that's not me trying to say anything bad about LA Knight, because I do think he deserves better than this. But that's what I took from this, because I could not picture him winning this chamber and going on to the main event of WrestleMania. As you say, Triple H won't have it.
Well, this is the thing, and again, like with Otis, and not to get too much into it, but the whole point of a wrestler failing is because they can't get over. But it's obviously Knight, is over, so it's just not in the plans, I guess. And it's just, yeah, it's a weird situation at this moment in time for him. SmackDown February 13th. Stratton's promo was interrupted by Lash and Nia. Rio helped with the numbers. This led to a women's tag match, so Stratton just had to leave. Rio with Jackson Legend. Well, the referee ended up calling for the bell with everyone fighting at ringside, which was a shame, really. Corona Hayes was shown telling Matt Cardona and Apollo Crews that the open challenge was closed. He announced that he would be in an Elimination Chamber next week. He then called out Dragunov for his title shot. For the match, though, the MFTs came out. They ended up attacking Hayes and Dragunov, Cardona, Cruz, and Nakamura came out to even the odds. Then we got a 10-man tag with Tamatonga able to secure the win by pinning Mello. The White Six then appeared in the crowd. And Monty, a lot going on. A lot of underutilized talent, like Apollo Crews just popping up out of nowhere. But what's my surprise for me is Mello really taken to this role of kind of like white meat babyface, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Because he's such a better heel, but I'm so glad it's getting over.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I think that's just the complete opposite of what I was saying about Punk. Because although I agree about him being a better heel, and when you think about career placement and like TV time and all that, no, Melo take whatever they give you, brother, and try to knock because it was looking rough there at the beginning and wasn't consistent TV time, and it's just like if and to be fair to Melo, he's done a good job of using his wrestling style and just like being that character. You can see it in his reactions. It don't matter if he's wrestling somebody the fans know a lot about or whatever, or like you see a situation like this where he's involved with a lot of other people, he's still getting those reactions. So I'm very, like you said, I'm just like you. I'm just happy he's out there. I'm happy he's getting that time and getting a chance to showcase what he can do. Because at the end of the day, although I agree that he's probably best suited in different roles, we do know he's one of the best in the world. And the only way we can see that is if he's on TV, if he's involved. Even if they haven't gave him major, and maybe they are slowly cooking something with Dragon off and all that, but like they may not seem to have a major storyline direction for him quite yet. At least he on TV, man. At least he wrestling consistently, and like you said, unlike some of his teammates here tonight, who we rarely see, and we just happy to see. Like even in as lazy as I thought this match's booking was and all that, I can't even complain about that because I'm just happy to see a lot of them guys just doing something, and so yeah, that's kind of where we are, and I don't want Melo to end up in that spot where we're just happy that he's on TV doing something. So that's kind of where I am with that. And then when it comes to, I'm also happy for Tama because like it seems like WWE, and we'll talk about it as we keep going, but it seems like they seem to want to invest a little bit in Tama, maybe even more so than just being one of the main members next to Solo in the MLT. I don't know, how long lasting it is, but I am happy that he's picking up victories too. Because again, besides that injury, he had a lot of people wondering where he was, and I think we all know that he has a chance to be, depending on how he's used, he has a chance to be one of the a really good. I don't want to say he's not a young star because like that he's newer to WWE, but he's not a young star. But I do think he could be hitting like his stride under the WWE banner, and like maybe he's picking up these victories, and depending on what story they're trying to tell there, because I feel like again, I don't know what it is. If it's not a major story, it's like we get scraps of a story every week. Like it feels like we're going somewhere, but we ain't quite there yet. So hopefully we're going somewhere with Tomlin and the Shinsuke stuff or the MFTs, and the same thing with Melo and Dragunov. But at the end of the day, right now, I'm just happy they're involved.
Yeah, right. Alexa Bliss booked her place in Elimination Chamber by beating Zelina Vega and Julia. Whoop That Trick is going strong, connect with the crowd and picking up a win over Ray Phoenix. And the Women's Championship was on the line when Jay Cargill defended against Jordan Grace. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez and Dom came out to watch at ringside. Grace looked especially good. using her feats of strength. Judgment Day didn't end up having much of an impact, and Cargill scored a clean win with a jaded finisher. Now, Gina, I was a little bit surprised that Cargill put away Grace so easy. I was like, okay, but I suppose there's bigger plans. But I thought both were quite. I mean, Jordan Grace, I think, was impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I was a big fan of this just because Jade hadn't really been given anything to do since winning the belt. So for me, this was kind of a good little feud that they had started to brew between Jade and Jordan. But yeah, it was kind of lackluster, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it was maybe due to the women per se, but I think that they could have, planned it a lot better. It was a little bit disappointing. I thought Jade and Jordan could really, kick it off and make the fans really get behind the heel type Jade, but it's not really that they're not behind her. It's more like they're it's like they're losing their care for her. And
Mm,
this isn't kind of like how I envisioned Jade would be in the WWE, if any of that makes sense to you, you know?
yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. I was excited because I thought Jordan Grace would be able to put on like a really, really great match with Jade, and it just felt kind of lackluster.
I don't think they've got, faith in Cargill's abilities because, again, I think it should have been the main event, because we did have the chamber match afterwards, but I feel the women's title should take prevalence. But again, if they're maybe not
Yeah,
going to
I
get
mean
that
the chamber match was
performance,
just a qualifier, so
yeah.
technically that shouldn't go above the women's title belt. So yeah, it does diminish it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. And like I said, the main event was Zayn Rhodes and Fatu fighting for Elimination Chamber spot. Looked like Fatu was going to win. McIntyre came out and hit a Claymore to take him out. He also hit Rhodes with one and then put Zayn on top of him. Well, a friendship was built at the Rumble. And the American Nightmare annoyingly kicked out. Zayn then took out McIntyre with a Helluva kick, but Rhodes hit the crossroads to get the win. Monty, again, Cody getting a victory there, but at least it was able to tell a story on a couple because obviously we know Fatu and Drew, but even the Sami Zayn thing, which they've kind of expanded on, like I said, with backstage stuff in the weeks since.
Yeah, again, semblance of a story, or at least one of those Triple H classic. We're gonna tell this story for 35 weeks of television. But yeah, that's what it feels like. At least the Sammy part of it is like, yeah, yeah, because I get it. Don't get me wrong, I like the execution of it all because I think overall, and we'll talk about it more, because I think especially on this last recent SmackDown, some of the stuff Sammy said and some of the stuff that was said back to him kind of eeks of it. Just you can just tell what the story is, or at least the lesson supposed to be for Sammy. And I don't know where we're gonna go. I don't know if we're gonna ever actually get to that story slash lesson. But that's the thing, like what they want us to believe and what they want us to buy into, and that can go a number of ways from that moment. But I do like that. Again, Drew getting involved in Cody's mess, but at the end of the day, like Cody, and he did. And again, if you've been paying attention to Cody's matches, Cody learned this lesson too. If you, in case people forgot, the whole I know people don't want to remember because we don't necessarily like to talk about what Cena was a heel, but a lot of that ended up kind of being Cody's lesson when it comes to like, I don't care if I like you, Sam, and this is for me to get my belt back. I'm gonna crossroads you to win this match, and because I gotta do what I gotta do. And I don't mind that if you've been paying, like, again, if you've been paying attention, if you look at the development of Cody. I'm not saying, not to be fair, if you're one of the people who think Cody been phony all this time, who would say Cody wouldn't have done that pre John Cena? You can make that argument,
Mm.
but the point is, I think it was really hammering home after kind of just after that, after him looking so stupid against Cena. And I think honestly, after they booked me that way, I would demand WWE to never allow me to be that dumb of a babyface again. So again, I like where we're going. It's just all about sticking the landing or how long it takes them to stick the landing for some of this stuff. But I don't mind any of, like you said, Jacob. Like you said, we got stuff. Everything is logical. Jacob and Drew and Jacob's ongoing stuff logical, and then even the story beats that ties into Sammy's aspirations and Cody trying to get back to where he was. all of that makes sense. It's just all about sticking the landing effectively and actually doing it in a timely manner instead of making me feel like I know where we're heading, but I gotta wait till Money in the Bank, which is like in September for it to happen.
Raw February 16th, Vision interrupted Usos. I lost interest. LA Knight arrived to shout shit at the Hills. This led to a six-man tag with Reapy and Jimmy with the Tsunami. The Masked Man hit a curb stomp on Logan, so it wasn't all bad. Later on, Theory struggled to open up a door. Bless him. Mysterious Box showed up as well, and Pierce said Oldest can deal with it. The Elimination Chamber qualified Bailey versus Oscar versus Natty, and it was Oscar that booked her place in the fun match. CM Punk hit the ring to discuss his match against Finn Balor, talking about jeopardizing the biggest WrestleMania main event ever. I mean, I don't know. I hear it every year, so maybe I'm not
Yeah, I would
surprised.
say, James, stop. You know they do it every year. It don't matter what it is.
I don't want to, maybe I'm just a bit old in the tooth. Judgment Day.
The Miz and John Cena was the biggest wrestler.
To be fair, yeah. Balor interrupted with Judgment Day, who claimed he was the best in the world because he learned in dojos from luchadors and he knew European catch wrestling. And he says, "What do you want to be remembered as?" Again, not a bad promo, but it feels like we have seen it all before. Penta defeated El Grande Americano. After the match, the OG attacked the imposter and nearly unmasked him, but Los Americanos pulled their leader to safety. If there's anything I care less about with the Vision, it's the El Grande saga going on. This earned Penta a shot at Dom at some point. AJ Lee hit the ring to discuss her match with Becky Lynch. Lynch came out, and again, it's not a bad back and forth, but Gina, again, I don't want to just be me moaning, but it feels like, especially when there's like 4 weeks, like when a TV show or series has got like 13 episodes, and by like episode 9 or 10, they're stringing out towards this is what it feels like. We've kind of had this, and now we're just kind of getting the same stuff again,
Yeah, it's like they've had to just cut some promo to just remind everyone that this match is happening, but it wasn't necessarily needed. The build up for this match has already been sort of cemented, even from the mixed tag match that we got between Becky, Seth, Punk, and AJ. So we could feel the tension brewing and everything from there. So this, in a way, the seeds were already sown. So was the promo really necessary? No, because I don't know what it added, because the intensity of this match was already kind of there. I think, yeah, again, they just needed to make sure that they had Becky and AJ on the match card in some way to give the viewers what they want.
Yeah.
I know that I say they give the viewers what they want, but sometimes us viewers don't want it.
So it's just, if they're not adding anything to it, then what's the point? It's even like with Liv coming to be like SmackDown or Raw and going, I've not decided yet. It's like we didn't need that segment.
Exactly. And we spoke earlier about how much they have such a stacked roster of female wrestlers, and not only female wrestlers, but other male wrestlers who are not in title pictures, but you could be brewing storylines with these little time segments that you're kind of wasting, reminding us of shit we already know is there.
They do it all the
Also,
time.
what happened to just making one of the people that's in the paper in the storyline have a match, and then have a match with somebody that may not be who they fighting, and then remind us through whether it's an interference or through a stare down after the match. Like it used to be so many different effective ways to remind us, other than coming out and doing face to face or just 5 to 10 minute promos. We're having to remind people what's going on. Like that's all. I just felt like I'm not saying I understand that some people are part time and some people whatever, but like to me, especially with champions, we got way too many champions that don't do nothing on a week to week basis, other than every third week or whatever. And then they do it at the PLE possibly, but then we got these 4 or 5 match cards, so every champion not even wrestling in. So it's like
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why we don't use the many creative ways it is to kind of remind. Hell, sometimes back when I was growing up watching wrestling, you can have somebody having a pay-per-view match with somebody completely unrelated, and the only thing you'll hear is JR telling you, well, he'll be fighting blah 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 at Bad Blood. but he's fighting this. He's just fighting a regular match. Like they don't wrestle enough to me sometimes either.
Yeah, no, it's true. Elimination Chamber qualifier, Javon Evans versus Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio. We got a run in from Dragon Lee, who busted Gunther with the ring bell and it set in motion the finish. Evans was sort of 619, dodged a frog splash and delivered the OG cutter for one of the biggest victories of his young career. There you go, Gina. They can do it. You see, give us a result that we're happy with, and have a little bit of, Dragon Lee Gunther in there and Dom coming up short. But, fair play to Javon.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super happy for him. I really like Javon, and again, I don't watch NXT much, so I just kind of, get to see some of the glimpses. But every time I've watched Javon, I just think that he's great. And he just seems to be, growing every time you see him. You can tell he's grown. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it really, really is good. SmackDown February 20th. Cody started the show, soon followed by Jacob for 2-1 to the WWE Champion, but Aldous gave him the night off, much to the dismay of fans. Drew, being the champion he is, though, got himself a suite to watch the show. Security was destroyed, and then Aldous was threatening Fatu and missing the chamber. But he wasn't in the match anyway, so why are you threatening him with that? It didn't make any sense. Anyway, the first match of the night saw Dragunov take on Tonga. Lower pride distraction, so Tama could hit his finisher for the pin. Sikoa then tried to give a promo when it was done, but Dragunov tried to attack him. The MFTs took him out with a 5-on-1 attack. But that's what I like about Dragunov. He doesn't care about numbers. Cardona and Cruz were also taken out when they tried to help, and Uncle Howdy appeared on the big screen. Jade Cargill came out the ring and bragged about beating Jordan Grace. She addressed Liv Morgan and said she will show up on Raw to hear decision WrestleMania. Again, another segment we just didn't need. Oh, I'll be on Raw. Oh, okay, great. The next match was another Elimination Chamber qualifier. This time it was Jax, Charlotte, and Kiana James fighting for a spot. James ended up stealing the win by pinning Flair, while she had Jax in a figure four. Monty, this was a pretty surprising outcome, but like we mentioned, James showed a little bit by actually giving some time at the Rumble, and now look at her.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, a little bit of showcase, and gradually but surely, even with the more TV time her and Julia have been getting, you can kind of see the focus has been on trying to establish her as more than just a valet or just somebody who's around Julia. So, and yeah, man, it may have been a shock, but like you kind of like with similar to like Javon or just something like that. That's what we need. Sometimes you need something to inject a little bit of life into some of these concept matches that we've seen so many times over the years. And also, you need to give these newer talents something to associate their name value to. I think one of the reasons why when I look online and I see some people, for example, Montez Ford, I think the reason why so many people fight so hard to want more for Montez, which by the way, man, anyway, yeah. But I remember when they put him in the elimination chamber, like that people still bring that up. So like that type of lasting impression is what these big spots and big moments can do for talent like a Keanu James, like a Javon Evans, like Trick Williams, who again who putting them in these situations is almost a rub in itself because you never know if they do something that can stick with people and just putting them in that platform and also just making them feel like more of a big deal because they never, if you're a talent and you just pop up and you debut and you wrestle every now and then, but we never see you win in these positions or over the Charlotte Flairs, etc., and stuff like that. When are we ever going to put any stock in who you are at all anyway? So this move is necessary. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. And like I said, I've seen big things. It's no surprise that when they both was out rehabbing that Kiana and Charlotte, you can tell when Charlotte wrestles Kiana, she likes Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte likes Kiana a lot. Because Charlotte, if she don't like you, she won't sell. We know how Charlotte gets. Charlotte will get mad. Like we know how it is. Charlotte sells her butt off for Kiana, and you can kind of tell they get along. So yeah, I don't know. I know people see the Tiffany comparison when it comes to Charlotte, but I think the protege might be more so Kiana if you just look at how they wrestle and just like the association. But yeah, uh, this was cool. This is really really cool, and I'm happy for Kiana because again, I know that absence that she kind of had when she initially got drafted may have kind of started her with some work to do. But I think so far, they gradually but surely been doing a good job of establishing her.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, Kit Wilson grabbed the microphone and said he wanted to read over Femi a poem, which he wrote as an ode to Oba. Femi said he liked it and asked for another. Wilson read him an older poem that didn't go over as well, so Femi brought him in the hard way and destroyed Wilson for the victory. Alder sent the mystery box back to Pierce. Tiffany Stratton beat Alba Fire. Chelsea Green is legitimately injured, annoyingly. A broken ankle, but still on TV. And Gina, that still shows just what talent Chelsea Green has to be injured but still be entertaining, you know?
Yeah, like damn it, man. Chelsea can't catch a break with these damn injuries. But no, it does show her dedication that she still wants to be shown on TV and be involved in some way, even if it's just storyline behind the scenes, causing problems, running up her mouth, sort of thing, you know. Which again, fair play. She could be sat at home just resting up. Instead, she still wants to try and pull her worth. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. Rose and Zayn had a tense interaction backstage. We got another elimination chamber qualifier with Hayes, Priest, and Williams fighting for a spot. All three had some great moments, but it was Trick was able to secure the win and his spot in the chamber by pinning Priest with the trick shot. And the Mellow Trick team, to me, because of NXT and everything like that, is on a level of like Owens and Zayn or DIY. I'm so pleased to see them on the main roster. It's a shining light, along with Javon as well at this moment in time. We'll see what happens. But I mean, Monty Trick, we've talked about Mello, we've mentioned Javon. Trick is so over right now. You know, he's over like Rover, and I love it.
I always knew he would be, man. I know some people always just assume that it's just the entrance music or the dance or the chant, but he always had that. I always talk. We talked about it all the time in the NXT, man. Like you let him get a microphone, he already had the look, the presence, and I think he's developed. I think as much as I do think when he was the NXT champion, it wasn't perfect. The run wasn't the greatest, and they didn't do him justice with the opponents he had to face. The more I think about it, he ended up staying in NXT much longer than Carmelo. And I don't know. I think if he never becomes Impact champion and work with that batch of talent too, do we get him at this level and this confidence? Because in my opinion too, he shined in everything they've given him with guys like with segments with Randy Orton in matches like this one with Priest, of course, and and then Melo was here also. But you got like he's done his job. Every time he's been out there on the television screen so far, and it didn't take long. Similar to Oba, but Oba got a completely whole different vibe and a completely whole different like aura and whole different run to him. Like we can already see what they're probably shooting for Oba, and so it's different. And Melo, we know what he went through to start out. Trick has kind of hit the ground running, and I think a lot of that got to do with his personality, but also a lot of it has to do with just everything else that he's kind of perfected. I think the presence, like the confidence, not only on the microphone, but he looks like you can argue with all you want. It's kind of funny that he's been paired with Randy a lot because I think in a similar vein, what I used to hear always about young Randy Orton was you can just look at that guy and see world champions. Look at the now, of course, Trick don't have like the future. I mean, he don't have the third generation or like the whole wrestling in my blood tagline. But I think in a similar way, you can look at Trick Williams and see he's supposed to be a superstar, and I'm not, and I get it. I think that this is one of those underlying things, especially in WWE, that some people don't understand. Like you can look at it as a negative or a positive, but when you look at a guy like Trick Williams and you see that guy has it's something about it. It's something about that. And that doesn't mean the other people who don't look like Trick or whatever don't have a chance to have it also. There's plenty of overlooked people who didn't look like $1,000,000. But when you got somebody who look like $1,000,000 and can talk like he can talk, quick witted and can just do everything that Trick Williams can do, even if he has to still improve or be, I know a lot of people think, he paces behind in the ring. I think that is improved too. Like, in my opinion, Trick is prime, ready, and made. And he's one of those few. Even Braun Breaker is another guy I like to always point out. He's one of those few guys that where I say, even though he was in NXT, maybe I would say maybe too long. Maybe that too long was perfect for him because he came out on the main roster looking like he belonged immediately.
Yeah, without a doubt. Io Sky was originally announced as Judy's opponent, but for some reason they changed it to Rhea Ripley before the show. Sky's not injured, so we don't know why they changed it. Jackson Legend showed up and caused an abrupt halt, attacking Ripley. Sky ran to the ring to make the save and sent the attackers out. And then after getting an argument backstage, Randy Orton and Aleister Black ended up in the main event of this week's show. McIntyre showed up and nailed Orton with the WWE title. Rose chased McIntyre at the arena, but the damage was done. One Black Mass kick was enough to put Orton down for a 3 count. Gina, what the fuck was this with Aleister Black? Like, where did that come from? You know, but I guess a big victory for him.
I mean, yeah, definitely. But again, like you said, like, what the fuck? I don't know. It just seems random and like they don't know what to do with him. So they'll just kind of use him as and when they kind of need a segment. And in my opinion, this was a segment to, just show off Randy Orton, who's going to be in the chamber, But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel for him because I like Aleister Black. I liked him in as Malachi Black. I like him as Aleister Black. I really do like him as a wrestler and a person, but something's just not working. You know?
Yeah.
It's just not working. And I do feel sorry for him because I thought it would have been elevated with getting Zelina on his side.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely for maybe it's the curse of Damien Priest. Who knows?
Yeah, it could have been passed on. I also just want to note as well that I feel like they cancelled the EO and Julia because they're going to try and build for EO to take the belt from Julia. That's my guess. Again, other people may have opinions on this, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny they announce it and then they go, actually, we're going to do that. Oh, shit. Well,
Actually, that's a really great idea. And do you know what? That's even like paper match view worthy. Like, we shouldn't even just do it here. We should, yeah. And they just got the ideas come to them as they've already announced the match. And they're like, shit, withdraw it, put someone else in.
Yeah, exactly. Car subject exchange is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Raw February 23rd. Gunther interrupted Corey Graves and Michael Cole at the top of the show, taking exception to a tribute to AJ Styles. Adam Pearce ordered them out of the arena, and Ring Gangrel left under protest, only for Dragon Lee to attack him for a second time in as many weeks. Cody Rhodes appeared and made his way to Square Circle for his opening segment to honor AJ Styles, I guess. But the Vision interrupted. They cut a generic promo leading to rival Jey Uso and the opening match, which was a chamber qualifier, Jey Uso versus original El Grande Americano versus Bronson Reed. And at one point, Reed appeared to suffer a wrist or forearm injury. I weren't really sure what was going on. With the battle come down to Uso Americano, Uso got the win, but it was later revealed in the show that Reed suffered a torn bicep. And with that, and Monty, you did mention earlier, the entire original Vision is out injured. Is it just bad luck or are they cursed?
I guess it depends on what you believe in that regard. It depends on what you believe in, but it damn sure feels like a curse.
Definitely feels like it.
Right. I mean, in Self's case, you can always all right when it's Self, you can be like, oh well, unfortunately, not only was Self playing around faking injuries before this, but Self got an injury history, right? So like, okay, all right, you can be like, okay, it is what it is. Then even Braun, you like, you know what? That was a freak accident, whatever. All right. It's stupid. I can't believe that's how he got hurt, but man, that's just unfortunate, right? Then when he get hurt, when Bronson get hurt like 2 weeks later, it's like, all right, can we just scrap the Vision name? Just scrap it all. Like, it's just bad. It's something going on, and I don't understand why. I mean, it wasn't the most like again for something that was supposed to be so major and seemed like it's taking so much television time. It isn't the most interesting thing in the world either. They tried to keep it alive by just putting people like the charisma vacuum that Austin Theory is, and we know nobody likes Logan Paul, but the problem is that you can not like somebody that don't make us want to watch them. And I think that's the thing. Even with Austin Theory, like I know some Austin Theory fans out there, but I mean they try to get Theory to talk, and then it's just like, all right, just shut up. And then he got the generic gear. He's not interesting to look at no more, really, to be honest. So it's just everything about the current Vision that's left over from this is pretty, just unimpressive. Everything about it is unimpressive. So now that the people that we actually can see a future in and the actual superstar of the group is gone, Now we just got Paul trying to keep something alive that feels like it's dead.
Honestly, it is crazy. Like I said, I think it is cursed. I don't know when Dominic Mysterio became the head of the women's division, but apparently he is. He called both Stephanie Vaquer and Jade Cargill out on Raw for Liv Morgan to make her decision. She blasted Vaquer with the microphone, beat her down, and left her lying following her oblivion. I mean, Jade, it wasn't much of a surprise, really, was it? I mean, we were never going to get Liv versus Jade.
I mean, I never in a million years believed that Liv was going to pick Jade, not because of the storylines and the shows that she's on, but also like, why would you pick Jade when you look at the difference? No offense, but like, you just call Liv an idiot if she did. And they also don't really have any storyline building between them, so it was very obvious. And I think what annoyed me is that like you took how many weeks to come to this decision that we all knew you were gonna make. So again, just wasting screen time that somebody else could have had to be just building a non-title story feud. You know, not even necessarily to take us to WrestleMania, but they could have been getting some screen time and make us more interested in their storylines, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just getting more people out of catering instead of keeping them there. So yeah, for me, this was pointless because it was very obvious the way it was going to go. And I even saw it with, you know, her attacking Stephanie at the end there too. Like it just all played out in how I believed it was going to go. So
Yeah. And I mean, again, people might talk about what an A show and what a B show is, you know, and I think with Raw, it's proved it's the A show as both Rumble winners picked, you know, Raw champions, so to speak. And, you know, I might be wrong, but I think Netflix has it at this moment in time. Natty versus Maxine Dupree. Natty attacked Dupree from the opening bell. From there, she sent her face into the ring post, knocking her unconscious. But somehow, Natalia carried on beating the shit out of Dupree to the referee call for the bell. And then for the first time since the Rumble, Brock Lesnar stood alongside his advocate Paul Heyman for an in-ring segment. Heyman claimed WrestleMania has 3 main events, with one of them previously being The Undertaker's unbeaten streak. And now it belongs to the man who ended that historic run, Brock Lesnar, and they introduced the WrestleMania Open Challenge, but said no one would dare to accept it. Monty, again, I get it. They want to use Brock, and it probably makes sense, you know, victory over him. What I didn't understand, they showed the dates. Is it open challenges for the dates, or it's just WrestleMania? Because there's no way he's going to wrestle on Raw himself, is there? You know?
Yeah, it's for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So there's
for
going to be an
WrestleMania.
open
There's no
challenge
way.
every week. No,
There's no. Really? It's just weird. Give me the last time he showed up weekly and wrestled every. Bro, the one time he was scheduled for a Raw match, in case you guys forgot, again, on his recent run, was tagging with Cody. And we thought, remember how that ended? That was not a match. He just attacked Cody, and that was it. Like he didn't wrestle shit. So he's not gonna. I doubt he would wrestle on Raw or SmackDown ever again. To be honest, I'd really be surprised by it. But yeah, so it's definitely an open challenge mania. I don't really give a shit about it, but I already know who's gonna take it up, and it's not because of rumors. I just think it's the perfect thing to throw him at, and they probably gonna throw LA Knight to that Brock Lesnar wall.
Yeah, you
Because
want a WrestleMania match for night? Yeah, here you go. Yeah.
yeah, that's all
Um,
like because again, what we talking about, he just want to keep all the LA Knight fans happy, and you know they'll be really mad if you don't got a match on the card. So yeah, throw him in Brock, and he gets killed in 8 minutes.
well, I mean, we might do a bonus point for that, you know, just for not obviously not how long they last, but who the opponent is. We don't know. Javon Evans beat Kofi Kingston in a match that should have had more hype, you know. We got a Punk promo, but nothing new said. The final spot in the women's elimination chamber, was up for grabs as Io Sky battled Raquel Rodriguez and Kairi Sane. Looked like Sky had it won, but Rodriguez broke up the pin and ultimately got the win over Sane. Again, I don't mind Rodriguez into this, and it keeps Ripley and Sky a little bit apart, you know. For AJ's tribute, you had the Gorillas of Destiny and the Good Brothers, Nakamura, Bobby Roode, Kazarian, Abyss, Omos, Petey Williams, man, this was for me, like, as a hardcore TNA mark, this was great. We had a tribute package set to Creed's Higher, and then AJ Styles took the squared circle to address the W Universe one last time. He recalled meeting everybody, basically. I'm not going to go through the whole speech. It was great. He thanked his wife in the end and the children at ringside, and then revealed the reason he did not leave his gloves in the ring at the Royal Rumble because he wanted to bring them back to Atlanta and leave them at home. You see, Gina, that's what he's not going to AEW. He wanted to come home. I thought that was quite a nice touch.
Yeah, I think that was a nice touch, and it kind of helped answer some questions that the internet would have ran with for months on end if nothing was kind of like said. So yeah, I kind of liked that though. It felt right for AJ, and I couldn't help but just watch that whole segment with a smile on my face. I got a lot of respect for AJ.
Yeah, no, it was really nicely done. As he took his final bow and the roster spilled on the stage, the lights dim and the Undertaker made his way to the ring and challenged him to a match at WrestleMania. No, he didn't. He inducted Styles into the 2026 WWE
Took his damn
Hall.
time just to get there, man. Shit.
Do you know, I'm not saying Undertaker just like, I got a saying. And he's like, I can't remember the saying, but it's like, no, I love the Undertaker, like, bless him, even though
He's like,
he's turning into.
I was told a line in how to deliver this, and I completely forgot how to deliver this.
This is the house that we built or something. I don't know. Like, you're in the Hall of Fame, kid. Um, which again
I'm
was
happy
really,
that's his
really nice.
role now, though. Just pop up and send anybody who are available to the Hall. Matter of fact, they should just record him showing up to even the people who don't show up on a Raw SmackDown. You just show up somebody's house, like, hey,
They should
welcome
call
to the
him
Hall of
the
Fame.
in. They should call him the inductor taker.
Oh,
No, I'll work on it. I'll work on it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, work on it. But
That's
Monty
it.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Gina, calm down. Monty, AJ Styles' career, not that bad joke. Again, this was great, and it probably proves that he's not AEW bound now. But I thought it was a really nice tribute. Bit weird on the go home show, the Chamber, but still nice.
Yeah, weird timing, but like you said, I think AJ kind of at least kind of half explained because it felt like, oh, okay, if this the glove thing has something to do with doing this in Georgia, and we got so many like you just, it was really cool to have so many Impact references on the show too. So yeah, to kind of have New Japan Impact references and of course his history in WWE kind of all kind of acknowledged, and then kind of get this proper, send off like that in Georgia. And it kind of made the placement of it make more sense because it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this. We're not doing this for any other reason. We're not doing this because of any ties to Elimination Chamber. We're doing this because we're in Georgia, and that's personal to AJ. So I do love that element of it, and I think it's cool. Like I said, which is one thing I always wish as I started to watch other forms of wrestling that WWE was able to give more of their great flowers, or just like, I wish a lot of wrestlers who came and go in WWE didn't just disappear one week and we just kept the show going on. Like, I think it's cool whenever WWE gets a chance to actually give one of the greats uh, props. And even if this all is to avoid Alan Jones popping up in AEW, even if this is all to avoid that, I'll take it because at least a guy like AJ is getting the respect he deserves. And I mean, Hall of Fame. I mean, yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's one of those guys that definitely deserve it. But I just think it is amazing when you think about how, for a bulk of my life growing up, I associated with AJ with probably the best or one of the best outside of WWE. And for him to come in and over the last decade have a run strong enough to be just considered now one of the greatest of all time in general, not just one of the greatest impact, not the greatest, not just the greatest impact wrestler of all time, not just one of the greatest independent wrestlers of all time. Now he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's stamped in every way possible. And I think I can't think of nobody who deserves that type of respect more than AJ when you really think about it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, like I said, at least it's a nice way to cap off AJ Styles. And again, as he said, Rumble 2016 to Rumble 2026 is a hell of a run in WWE. SmackDown then, SmackDown to 27th of February, before the show began, WWE ran an angle during a commercial break showing Jey Uso unconscious backstage. When the show went live, the show being loaded in the back of an ambulance with Jacob for two went with him. Didn't know they were so close. Our WWE champion, one word, four letters, Drew. McIntyre came to the ring and denied being Jay's attacker to get ahead of the accusations. Nick Aldis came out and ordered him to go to his office. Cody, but Nick Aldis is like that. Remember at school where that teacher was just pissed off with you all the time. No matter what you did, the teacher, look, James, just go outside, right? Stand by the door. So I've not done anything. Got flashbacks. Cody Rhodes came out looking for a fight. Drew said we gained nothing from it. Randy Orton showed up. Trick Williams arrived next. Javon Evans followed. Then LA Knight was there as well. Knight and Williams began fighting. The Viper nailed Evans with an RKO before staring down the American Nightmare. I mean, Gina, look, they fit everybody in. You know what I mean? What else can they do with that? Come on, everybody.
Yep. Just as you said, yeah.
I don't know else. So Sikoa came out with Lantern for his match against Uncle Howdy. Sikoa ended up running right into Howdy's arm for his sister Abigail, who reclaimed the lantern, but only for a moment. The MFTs attacked and stole it again. Stratton defeated Sane after Oscar picked Kari to take her place in a fun moment. Green was a delight on commentary. He was taken out at ringside again. Miz tried to get out of his match against the Ruler. He wants to be the locker room leader who teaches. There was a fun back and forth between the two before Femi decided to dismantle the former WWE champion, hitting him with the fall from grace from the quick win. Eddie wasn't interested in a US title match. Mello told him it wouldn't last forever. Hayes did put the title on line against Matt Cardona, but Matt Cardona came up short. And Gina, this might be a short answer again, but Cardona sure is lucky to have a job right now, you know, because he's not. I'm not saying he's not adding anything, but do you know what I mean? Just another body.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're just thinking, is he really good friends with Trips outside? So Trips wants to make sure that him and Chelsea can still pay their rent. Or yeah, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to see him, but yeah, it's just random and weird whenever they use him at this point.
He's living his dream. He's living his dream. Jordan
Let him
Grace
live
and
it.
yeah, exactly. Jordan Grace beat Candice LeRae. Gargano got up. Gargano's been depressed recently. I've not mentioned he's been laying on things. He did get up and walk away, which cost LeRae the match. Nia Jax and Lash are now known as the Irresistible Forces. Do like that. They face Rio for the tag team titles. Legend was able to pin Ripley to get the tag titles for her and Jax. I mean, Monty, this again was quite a nice surprise. And then you were like, oh, yeah, Ripley's definitely winning the chamber.
Oh yeah, that definitely confirmed it. And also, it's another statement of, oh yeah, we refuse to put these type of matches on a pay per view card, but here you go, one right here. We'll do this, title change now. But yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. It definitely was like, well, look like Rhea's free to do other things now. So yeah, but it was. I'm excited, man. I'm very happy for Lash. Nia Jax is continuing to be. I mean, Triple H obviously loves Nia Jax. I'm not trying to act like I don't really like Nia Jax. I think she's, she is who she is at this point, who she always been. But yeah, I think when it comes to Lash, I'm really, really proud and just happy for her, man. And the fact that she was able to pin Rhea Ripley with a finish. Just a really cool moment for somebody like her who I know worked her ass off to kind of get to this spot. And I always kind of have an affinity, even for the people that I don't really, if especially if they do cool shit after NXT, it's always cool to watch them at the very beginning. And I think that's the one viewpoint of NXT that is kind of underrated, is that you get to watch these people work on themselves and develop all of this. So whenever they make to that level of success, whether they are completely different than where they were, or even if they're the same, it's always really cool. And I think, like I said, to talk about Lash, not to just because you didn't necessarily care for her work early in career, I just think it's a perfect microcosm of what NXT is supposed to be about. Like, you're supposed to see somebody, and even if you don't like them, they're supposed to find a way to kind of impress and get to this spot. And like, if things go as planned, if they get the opportunities, and you know what I mean, they tend to impress. Like, and like Lash has always impressed them athletically. Like I mentioned before, like Lash has has like broke or like she's one of the strongest women in the performance center coming up. So it's kind of cool to see everything kind of come together for her also creatively. And I don't know how long everything gonna last or how long the team with Naya can last. But as far as a start goes, I think we're on a pretty successful start when you think about how far Lash has come in such a short time.
Yeah. Well, just think of this. I mean, we mentioned NXT and Gina again. I'm not to sound like, parents talking about their kids, so to speak, but it is important. And especially the week that we've just talked about. You had Javon Evans pinning Kofi Kingston. Obviously, Kofi's so important in his WWE career and a former WWE champion. Obafemi pinning Miz, who is a former WWE champion, even though some people might not believe that. And now Lash pinning Raya. So it's been a great week for former NXT talent, and of course, this is Lash's first gold as well. So at this moment in time, like I said, it's the only thing keeping me interested in the product, and I'm not lying about that.
Yeah. It kind of seems like maybe the curse that NXT stars used to have in coming up to the main roster to be sidelined and put into catering has moved to the Vision and their injuries. Um, and it's working now in the favor of the NXT stars. But again, I'm not mad at it because I think that all of them deserve it. I think, even Mello at this point still for me is just getting the push that he should have got when he first kind of came up. And I was worried for him when he did get stuck in that tag team with The Miz. It was worrying as to whether he was going to stay in that position, what I would say is mid-card position. And I just love how even things are elevating for him, let alone the three NXT stars that got wins this week, So yeah, I'm really happy for them all. Please continue it and keep it up. If you could add more to the Curse of the Vision and get Logan Paul off of my TV, I would be absolutely gleaming. So thanks.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Logan wanted a shot at the Chamber, and so did Jacob Fatu. So the main event was for the last Chamber spot. Heyman interfered to help Paul, but they were able to keep the Samoan Werewolf down. The Masked Man showed up and super kicked Theory, but was taken out by Paul and unmasked. And it was just some random guy we had never seen before. Just some
The
guy.
disappointment that you could hear in that crowd was unreal. They should have put some tumbleweeds in there to go by the guy on the floor.
Yeah. Maxwell showed up and attacked Fatu while the ref was distracted to help Paul get the win. So again, I mean, I love McIntyre, but I mean, Monty, you let Logan Paul go in the Chamber, and I don't know if he's contracted that Logan has to be in the Chamber every year. But it seems a little bit suspicious because everybody was upset. It was going to be Jey Uso. Oh, we don't want Jey Uso. Now you've got Logan Paul.
Exactly. That's exactly like, oh yeah, oh my God, Tyler Jay getting pushed, Tyler Jay getting pushed, and then now you get Logan in that spot instead of whoever else. Like, yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm with you. At this point, everything that's involved with Logan, I just chalk it up to, well, he got however many million followers, so they always looking out to involve him. It doesn't matter if he do anything important or not. We just need him on the TV screen because there's a chance that a fraction of his brainless followers are watching the show. So yeah. So if that's the case, then maybe that play a factor, more of a factor than it needs to. But I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of this overall, but I can't say I'm shocked because, like you mentioned, I've kind of become used to them shoehorning Logan Paul into stuff. But yeah, over Jacob too is kind of like the more so frustrating thing. Like I hate that a guy as dominant as I perceive Jacob to be and can be has to be in this position, has to be in a match with Logan Paul and put him over in any kind of way. That's just the reality that we are, man. I know he's done. He keeps trying to tell everybody he's not an influencer. He's not an influencer, but he will always be that to me because he's not a wrestler either.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So February 28th in Chicago, All State Arena. WWE hasn't been here since SummerSlam 1994. I'm not going to get into the CM Punk thing. All right. I don't give a fuck. Yes, he wrestled there in AEW, whatever. You know what WWE are like. Kickoff Joe Tess, Wade B, and Big E. Triple H was interviewed backstage. Everyone was inside apart from the three hosts who were freezing and shivering outside. Poor bastards. Cole sat down with AJ Lee. Gray sat down with Balor. Trick and Kiana James were interviewed. Peter Robertsberg replaced Wade. And then we had the national anthem. That's 2 hours of stuff, boys and girls. All right, that's 2 hours there, summed up. National anthem was Hannah Heaven. And then we get the main show, which was the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Start us off. Rhea Ripley versus Tiffany Stratton versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Oscar versus Kiana James and Alexa Bliss. Stratton and James started the match, but it was Bliss who shone in the night's first big spot, delivering Twisted Bliss from the top of one of her pods. But her WrestleMania dreams were dashed when the Empress of Tomorrow blinded over the blue mist, allowing James to score the first elimination of the bout. Ripley and Rodriguez starred upon their arrivals, but later obliterating the competition and pinning both James and Oscar to send them packing. The 1-2 punch of Mummy and Tiffy, though, allowed the babyfaces to denote Big Mummy cool. From there, Ripley outlasted the Bat Stratton, sending her face first into the pod and delivering a ripside skewer the victory in a good match with strong action and a great performance, I will say, from Tiffany Stratton. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Um, sorry, I don't have my notes on this because I lost them all, but still, yeah, for me, I think I was going with a risk. Do you know what? I like Tiffany, and I'm also bored at the same time. And I know that sounds like really bad to say, but that's kind of how I feel about it. And again, she's at a point that I don't know what they're going to do with her for her future, whether swapping rosters or not would be best. I don't know, but yeah, again, for me it was a hit and miss with Tiffany here, so I was going to be taking a risk.
But as for the match itself, I don't think it was too bad. I can't believe the chamber is 24 years old. Alexa Bliss won the first women's chamber back in 2018. We did say Jade
Was it
Cargill.
Alexa that won the first? Oh shit.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
actually, I can plug it now. I've been doing the history of like Elimination Chambers or February PLE pay-per-views on YouTube through WWE 2K. And yeah, I did that. It was 2018 with Bliss winning. So you can check all them out as well. A bit of history there. Jay Cargill was showing watching from a box, a luxury one, not the one to be opened later. Monte, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because I feel me sometimes W is more entrances than matches as well. Because I was like, it took a long time from getting in, and then the action was just like, oh, okay, right.
That's on pay-per-views as well as normal shows. Can
Yeah,
can I
yeah,
add
yeah.
in like entrances?
Yeah, but I mean that's always kind of been a WWE thing. It's probably worse now, and maybe I think like some of that I know in some shows back in the day, I mean not day, but like they do the long ass ramp, so you got to get down there. But you just like yeah, so like it depends, but yeah, I mean, they always try to focus more on spectacle than other wrestling shows or just wrestling in general. Even if you go off the history, I think they just kind of increase scale a little bit. I do kind of understand what you mean, though, mostly because I just don't remember the chamber entrances being that long or dramatic growing up. Like the chamber didn't seem to have a crazy interest thing, but I didn't mind it because some of the interactions of watching the people in the pods and just interact with each other, it can be kind of cool. But yeah, man, this match itself I thought was good. I thought it was all right. Everything was fine. I thought you probably could have got a little bit more out of Oscar maybe at times, but I thought she did a good job of kind of being chaotic and just doing what she does. Rhea did a lot of stuff that I think, again, some people may not be used to Rhea being capable of doing some of the high flying or just some of the stuff, crazy stuff she did in this match. But I think, again, that just kind of what makes her Rhea, that she's a powerhouse, but she also can, be that way, especially when she's involved with Raquel, who looked like a monster. So I thought that was a good look. Kiana did a really good job, especially in that first half when she was initially in there. And again, like I said, continuing to impress. The Tiffany stuff is it's kind of funny that you mentioned being bored with her, is because a lot of that, in my opinion, got to do with just the fact that, like you also mentioned, she's been directionless since returning, and she was pretty much directionless before she lost the championship. Like we talked about it, like they stagnated with her a long time ago. They refused to just allow her to be the heel that kind of would make her what she's obviously better at. They haven't really wanted to lean quite into that yet, probably because Jade is the top heel right now. But we talked about Jay don't even got much to do. So I'm just saying you can. It's so many different ways that I think you can use some of these women. But I thought Tiffany athletically and just in the ring did once again look pretty solid. Alexa, probably the most. If you want to say somebody was disappointing, I wouldn't say she was disappointing. I just say they didn't give her a lot to do before she was out of there. But yeah, I thought everybody did a pretty solid job. This is a good chamber match. I don't know how to really chamber match is always weird to me because I can't really pin down what makes one great. But yeah, was pretty cool, and I didn't have a problem with the result, even though it was obvious. And I think some of that, 20 and something, you waiting 25 minutes for a match to complete, and you kind of know where we're heading, and we get to the final two, even though it's Tiffany Stratton and Rhea, and you still know where it's heading. Yeah, it can be kind of tough, but I thought they did the best of what they had.
Yeah. What I find quite
Can I
funny as well.
also
Go
can
on.
I also add in? I think I remember. Who was it? I think Tiffany got thrown into like Raquel's pod at one point, or she went to, and
Yeah, she
Kiana
flipped
ricocheted off
into it.
it. One of them did, and Raquel's laugh was was so evil and brilliant. It was hilarious. There were little comedy moments that did make me laugh.
Now, what I found funny was that Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James were in NXT at the same time. Now look at their kind of progression as we go along. It's quite interesting. So scores it out of 5. Gina, what would you give it?
I mean, yeah, it did what it did, but again, there were some, like Monty pointed out, Alexa wasn't really there for anything. Didn't, yeah, and didn't have much to contribute to this. Have I seen better chambers for the women? Yes. So it's not necessarily my favorite, but I'm still happy for Rhea getting the win. I'll give it I'll I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4, Monty.
3 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 1/4. Predictions. The WNR Prediction League 2026. We've had the Royal Rumble. This is before the Chamber. And WWE, Gina is in the lead on 1. The rest, big fat 0. AW's not been started. And bonus league, well, Jackson on 5, Monty on 7, and Gina James are on 8. Gina went for Tiffany. The rest went Ripley. So Gina is on 0. The rest are on 1. As we've got the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch next. And Lee out wrestled Lynch early on, frustrating the champion. The Hill recovered and went on to dominate much of the match, but inability to keep the challenger down bred frustration. She removed the turnbuckle pad, and referee Jess Carr collided with it. Later, Carr caught a kick from Lynch, taking her out of the picture. The Hill utilised the chair to her advantage, but still failed to keep Lee down. Moments later, Lee sent Lynch into exposed turnbuckle, applied the Black Widow, which already made Lynch tap out earlier, and scored the submission victory. Your new Intercontinental Champion is AJ Lee. Monty, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, man, this is okay, man. This is okay. I didn't have a problem with it. It was a good match. I think, of course, Becky did her best in my opinion, kind of help showcase AJ. But I thought AJ looked probably the best she's looked in her since her return. She looked a lot fluid, and I think first of all, this is like the singles, and this I think the with the spot and the timing, this is what you would want. But yeah, I think this is what she's been working for. The ref bump, of course, you know, probably was when I kind of just like, all right, here we are for the shenanigans. But again, you gotta think about what's going on. I mean, AJ Lee was at basically in the hometown situation. Also, I guess we can still say part time, but she also kicked out of the chair shot manhandle slam. Like once you do that, it's just like, hey, you know, like once you kick out of there, it's like, yeah, man, it's over with, bro. The result to me, and again, this could change. We could just get a rematch and all else fail, or maybe they want to lead us to a multi-man match for the IC belt with AJ Lee just being champion. Who knows? But I think after watching the match, I still was just more befuddled that we were even getting this here. And maybe I should rethink my program. But this, in my opinion, is something that the whole time Maxine had the belt, the whole time Becky was kind of going back and forth and building her up. I thought we all kind of established or knew that AJ Lee and Becky were going to get butt heads again, and it was most likely going to be for this championship. And I thought because of how long they took, whether it was because of AJ Lee was busy or whatever reason they have, I thought that we all knew that it was, because again, think about the WrestleMania card. You got Punk and Roman with the biggest star that kind of made his name while Punk was gone. And then you got Becky and AJ, which is, you can arguably say Becky's the biggest women's name that has made their name while AJ was gone. So that just sounds like Mania Marquee. So I think I just, after watching it, especially seeing AJ winning, it's no shenanigans that give us a reason to have a next match at Mania necessarily. It just felt like, nope, this might be it. It's like that's probably more confusing to me, but I don't think that got anything to do with the match. I thought it was solid. Becky worked hard, and I thought AJ looked pretty good for at least like I said, the best she's looked since she came back. And yeah, this is okay. Again, was it the greatest thing I've ever seen? No, but I do think when you consider you got all the context there, I think you left away with a pretty satisfying match and a satisfying result because at the end of the day, I thought it was a cool moment for AJ to come back and be champion again. But doing it at Elimination Chamber, even if it is Chicago, it's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, what are your thoughts? Because again, I mean, maybe they do have plans for WrestleMania, but it's a bit weird. Kind of, it happened here.
Yeah, see, so I kind of went into this with a similar mind as Monty, and I kind of thought maybe Becky would, do some heel moves and get this win leading to the final match like of a 2.0 at WrestleMania, especially because Punk is going to be sort of in the main event of WrestleMania. So I kind of had that idea too. So I also was shocked at that she got the win here. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for her getting the win. But it just made me think, well, is she going to be consistently showing each week up until WrestleMania then because she's got the belt now, which I wasn't expecting. So yeah, in a way, I'm happy for her getting this win, but it does make me think, okay, so what will they do for WrestleMania then? I guess that's what we're on the road to WrestleMania, so they'll try and set something else in place. But yeah, I always thought the plan was going to be Becky and AJ at WrestleMania. So is a bit disappointing in terms of my predictions for sure, but I'm also still happy for AJ Lee.
Yeah, I mean the reason I went AJ so and Punk can be champions together. You know how WWE loves doing the double champ thing. Especially up until WrestleMania. And another good thing is watching a replay. I don't have to deal with those tedious adverts, so it just goes from match to match. I think Lynch did well here, but maybe not a true ring general. AJ should be warming up like Punk did. It did take Punk a little while. It kind of fell apart after the ref bump. And the other thing is Becky has lost to AJ in all three meetings at PLEs now. So again, apart from if it's a Jeff Carr thing to justify a rematch, I don't know what they're going to do. Monty, what would you give out of 5?
3.5.
Gina?
I'll give it a 3 3/4.
3/4. I'm going to give it 4 predictions. Gina and Monty went Becky. James and Jaxie went AJ. So James and Jax on 2. Monty's on 1. Gina is on 0. The World Heavyweight Championship next. CM Punk versus Finn Balor. And the Second City Saint overcame a focused, determined challenger who was, for much of the match, the better man. The Irishman out wrestled Punk, dominated the action, and looked like he may well disrupt the main event of WrestleMania. A late match attempt at the coup de grace failed as the champion countered into a sharpshooter. Not even a dropkick through a barricade at ringside later could keep Punk down. The action returned to Square Circle. The best in the world proved his moniker correct, telling him to go to sleep and cashing his ticket to the main event of the Showcase of the Immortals for the second year in a row. Balor showed respect to Punk after the match. Another step, I guess, in the babyface turn. And we had AJ Lee come out in front of their hometown fans. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, I thought it was a good match because I think Finn Balor can always put on a great match, and so can Punk. Did I have any percentage thought that Finn was going to get the win here? No. With the build up that they've did across the SmackDowns between Punk and Roman, or Raws. I can't even remember which show now. Either way, with all of that build up, did I think Finn was going to come out of this with that belt to go against Roman at WrestleMania? No, absolutely not. So it's just really sad because I really like Finn Balor and I actually do want him to have another title run at some point in his career because I think he's just brilliant. But I felt for him. Maybe I think that this was more a case of getting Finn to start thinking about moving on from the Judgment Day, even with the little sign of respect at the end of this match and how that kind of is reciprocated from the Judgment Day and how they work. I think this was more intent for that rather than, oh, could Finn actually win this? Because again, let's face it, they weren't going to replace Punk with Finn for this WrestleMania event. So when it comes to the anticipation of this match, I wasn't exactly excited for it because I wasn't exactly going into it thinking Punk was going to be losing it, but I still think it was a great match that was put on and I was entertained by it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, the result was never in doubt. Monty, again, maybe you can explain more. Punk's entrance had something to do with the Chicago Bulls. I don't fucking know. Larry Forever jacket. Again, they rolled out the red carpet. The Punk. They're like, Punk, what do you want? You can have anything in Chicago, and they gave it him.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nose. It's just very Chicago, It's definitely a reference to the Bulls, but I think it was like their old intro when Jordan was there or something like that. But yeah, just a very Chicago celebration. Again, they're taking care of Punk, and you gotta be honest with yourself, James. Roman is never there. Seth is hurt. Cody is not necessarily on the A show, but when Cody does have something going on, you can just look at social media right now. Apparently, WWE does a lot for Cody. So I'm just saying, Punk right now is in that spot of actually being the top guy or one of the top guys, if not the top guy. So yeah, they're doing what they have to do. They're happy, and I don't know if you noticed, but Punk is printing money for them. Not only just from a merch perspective, but just from popularity and all of that. Like they're doing a lot. They're using Punk name recognition a lot. So it's kind of like when AEW had him in Chicago. They it probably went to this level, but every week, like we talked about, it was a reference to CM Punk. So yeah, it's very very interesting and very very cool when I see that. When I think about like how far we've kind of come with Punk. But yeah, this was I think my thing was, although I'm with you, the believability and not necessarily believing that the lack of believability in my opinion, and not really believing that Finn could win definitely hurt the match or like hurt the anticipation or the energy around it. But I think, to be honest, though, I thought this was really good, and it just kind of made me be mad that Finn's stop is so low that you couldn't really entertain it. Not only with the timing, like yeah, you're right, the timing it don't really make sense, but we'll talk about something later that show you that they are very willing to make changes for main events. So uh, that doesn't really mean anything. So I think it's more so the fact that we would all look at them upside the head like, are you insane? Trying to switch it to Finn Balor and Roman, and a lot of that got to do with Finn Balor's booking over the years. Because I think if you look at this match, Finn, even at his age, still looks like one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think him and Punk have fantastic chemistry. And that's just kind of like my takeaway of every match they've had, to where I was just like, Punk and Finn really just got a good run together. Then, like you mentioned, my favorite spot, one of the best spots I've ever seen, was the sharpshooter coup de grace type of deal. I love that. I love the creativity there. So yeah, man, I'm a fan of both guys. So I guess some people could look at this being biased. This is definitely my favorite thing of the night, even with the lack of believability of Finn winning. And like I say, I don't blame Finn for that. I blame his booking. And and I do think if I do got any crutch to kind of pick with this match, is that I was hoping that at the very least we're still doing this with Finn here, not to just give Punk a win at Chicago. at the very least, I was hoping we would get the Finn to actually just let's say JD wanted to try to cheat Punk, and then he be conflicted, and then he end up breaking off from Judgment Day. I'd rather we do that, but I understand we didn't have a lot of time, and you wanted AJ and Punk to embrace instead of doing storyline stuff there. But at least if we could have got Finn to finally pull away from them or get attacked by them, then we could be like, oh, okay, we did this for a reason. We did all this, teasing Finn there for a reason. I know it's gonna happen eventually, but you know me, at some point, everything ain't gotta be slow burn. Everything don't have to be slow burn.
All right, so scores then, Gina, what would you give it?
Um, I was still entertained by the match, but yeah, I'll give it a 3 3/4.
Monty?
4.5.
4.5. I'm going to give it a 4. Predictions, you all went Punk. So Jackson James on 3, Monty's on 2, Gina on 1. And after weeks of speculation, the contents of the mysterious grace was revealed to be
Oh God.
Danhausen. Yes, he made his WWE debut just 24 hours after his contract with AEW came to an end. The very nice, very evil face painted superstar made his way to the ring, flanked by female companions sharing the same look. He had the Michael Cole jar of teeth, cursed the WWE Universe, and disappeared into the darkness. Gina, it sounds like you were happy about this.
It's not that I was unhappy about it, but I kind of felt a little for him because there was a lot of anticipation and build up for weeks with what was in the box, and there were so many speculations going online. So for it to be Danhausen, I could only imagine the backlash this is going to create. And I don't necessarily hate or dislike Danhausen, and so I don't really want him to take that hate because people are disappointed that the person they were speculating wasn't there and it was him instead. Do you know what I mean? So I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a bit worried for the repercussions overall in regards to it. But I also was a little bit exhausted, like, really? I'm intrigued to see how he meshes in with the WWE aesthetic with his aesthetic, I'm interested in seeing that much I can say. I don't really see him going for the main titles anytime. So
Well,
for
who
me,
knows?
yeah, it's not one of those big signings that you've got a new champ on your hands on the way.
Well, there were boos, but I think that was for him disappearing. And one of the dancers was his wife. So, I mean, that was a nice touch. Monty, what were your thoughts on what were your thoughts on Danhausen?
Everybody who's disappointed about the box don't watch wrestling because ain't nothing ever good came out of a box of WWE or a hatched egg or whatever. It's never been good reveals in WWE whenever they've done this. So I have no clue what type of wrestling you guys watching. Everybody's, oh, it's gonna be Jericho. Why? Why the hell would it be Jericho? Why did he come back in a box? Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. Uh, I don't have a problem. At first, I'm gonna be honest with you. When he first signed, I didn't really care. I just chalked it up as like, I know Punk and him are cool. That's one of the AEW guys Punk seemed to get along with for some reason, which seems funny, but for some reason, out of all the young guys or people that he did not like, Darby Allin, I think Brody King, and Danhausen. Like, look at the type of people that I know really seem to get along with Punk outside of everybody else. So that's always funny to me. But anyway, I just kind of chalked it up to that like that, the association, or at the very least, CM Punk is the one who told them about him because I don't really
Mm.
believe Triple H know that man exists.
Yeah, he went out of his
Yeah,
way.
right. I have no.
Stop everything.
Yeah, I doubt it. I seriously doubt it when he was watching the few times Danhausen showed up on AEW or wherever else that Danhausen has been, that he was like, you know what? I just like that guy. Like, no, I'm pretty sure Punk at least pointed him in that direction. Now, what I will say is, it's one thing I'm certainly after two shows, after Raw and SmackDown after this, and we'll talk about the segment or not after two shows, I'm 100% sure if they can continue to present him in a certain way, he'll be perfectly fine. And he's already seemingly starting to win some people over. and that's because he is hilarious. And I think if it's one thing WWE kind of got over AEW, if you think about it, I think some of the hate that maybe even I had in the past for Danhausen's inclusion in AEW is that he just didn't seem to fit. Because like, all right, and not that comedy wrestling can't work in AEW, it can, but it's just like, it took a while. It takes a while for people to warm up to that. If you're not going to be an Orange Cassidy who can also turn it on and wrestle like they do in AEW. And I'm not saying Danhausen can't, but I'm just saying like that's not really his character. He's having fun. He's cursing people, and I think if presented rightly, he actually will fit in quite nicely, depending on how they decide to go. In what direction they decide to go. And I think so far on the first two weekly television shows they did a pretty good job. So I'm optimistic for him right now. I'll let you know when it changes. Trust me, I'll be the first one to tell y'all to get the painted freak off my camera screen.
Yeah, optimismhausen. The men's elimination chamber match was the main event. Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul, Trick Williams, LA Knight, Randy Orton, and Javon Evans. Evans was the first superstar to be sent packing when his addiction to the thrill proved costly, resulting in elimination courtesy of Logan fucking Paul. It's not Paul's last of the night, as well as he dispatched of Knight and Trick, building momentum and pissing me off. There was a man in black appeared, only to be unmasked and whisked away by security. Another nobody. The chamber door was just fucking wide open. And he shouldn't call it a chamber, he should just call it a door open match, for fuck's sake. Referees were trying to get rid of Trick. Another hooded man entered the square circle and delivered a stomp to Paul to set up his departure. That man was a returning Seth Rollins. McIntyre entered the fray next, but found himself teed off on by Rose and Orton before Legend Killer dropped his friend and protege with an RKO to win the match and earn the title opportunity. Monty, I love overbooked messes that this ended up being, but I suppose it got there in the end.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen mixed opinions about this. I thought it was entertaining. Honestly, I don't see how anything could be worse than just Logan Paul pinning Javon and Trick Williams. I left LA Knight out of my complaints mostly because at this point, at this point, I mean, come on, like I'm not saying he should be in LA Knight. I'm just saying if you're an LA Knight fan, you've been put through the ringer enough. So I doubt it even matters that he got Logan too. But like for him to get Javon and Trick also just felt unnecessary, and it made me wonder, like maybe Bronson Reed supposed to win that Jay Uso match at the very beginning anyway. And they audible to Jay winning, and that's why we got here. Like, because then if you tell me Bronson Reed eliminate all these guys, it's a little bit
But
more
they had a
believable,
week.
right?
They had a week to change it. Like, again, I was thinking about it and I was like, but you had a week to change the match to make Logan not. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Fucking
I
know.
agree. I agree. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I agree. I don't know. I'm trying to think like, was this supposed to be for somebody else? Because Logan is he's a slimy heel. He's not really meant to be dominant. So I don't understand why they kind of gave him the dominant stretch. I almost would have preferred a Trick got the baby faces out to at least make him look a little bit cooler. But it is what it is. I thought Trick was at least in there enough and got a chance to shine. And I love his interactions with Randy. I love the fact that Randy seems to really like Trick Williams. I don't know what it is, but I like that. If Trick is going learning under the Randy Orton tree, I think that's awesome. But yeah, man, I thought this was pretty cool. I don't have really many main complaints. I love the finish. I love the shock because I wasn't really expecting them to go the unpredictable route here for Randy. But I also, you know what? I said I didn't have another crux. I do got another crux. Your boy, man. Your boy don't watch wrestling, dude. Man. Your boy just don't watch wrestling, dude. He just they not that smart. And I don't want to disrespect Scottish people in general, but he not representing y'all with it right now. When we think about logic, like when you wasn't the Royal Rumble bad enough, like you did the Royal Rumble and you got off scot free. Just let him possibly lose to Randy in this. Why did you have to come? Why?
Because
Why, Drew?
he can't help but
Can't
McIntyre
help it.
himself. All
He
right.
can't help
It's
it.
he McIntyred
That's the way
himself.
he's booked. He's booked to get in his own way. But yeah, other than that, this is fine. I love Randy taking advantage because again, that's perfect. That's right in line with Randy character, and that's right in line with what we seen Cody just do to Sammy. So I love the kind of calmer of it all right there. So I thought the finish was cool. I'm sick of mass men, so I'm happy Self finally just came on to show to everybody that it's him, so we can see, so we can start. Man, WWE, man, shout out to whoever make black hoodies and masks and ski masks.
Yeah.
Woo! When WWE hit y'all up, they making a fortune off WWE. But anyway, other than that, I thought this was okay.
Yeah, I mean Logan did drop Javon in his head as well, and how many people entered that chamber? Gina, I mean, what were your thoughts on the match? And it's good to see Seth come back to feud with Not Vision. You know, he's gone away. He's come back. He's like, where is everybody?
They had him return just to take out the one social media idiot. But either way, I thought the chamber was good. I'm really pissed off that Logan Paul got most of the eliminations, if I'm really honest. I'm actually a bitter bitch about it. I just don't understand how much he must have paid trips to say, let me get all three pins.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, for me, that did ruin it a little in my taste. But still, aside from that, I did enjoy the chamber. I loved seeing Trick, and Javon and Cody. I was about to call him Raheem. Cody, like the three of them just
Easy.
all gang up on Logan. That part was brilliant because the crowd loved that. They just screamed so loudly for it. So yeah, that was funny. But ultimately I didn't know how this was gonna end. I think I had even sent a message to you guys as the podcast group to say that I think that there's gonna be some part of tomfoolery on Drew being involved or Jacob being involved and screwing the last two members out, and the last two being sort of Cody and Randy, and then it becoming a triple threat match. So I really didn't know who was going to get the win here. So that's something I did like, because again, anyone could have won at this point in my eyes. So apart from LA Knight, sorry. But yeah, either way, I thought it was great, and I enjoyed the match.
Yeah, I mean, poor LA Knight. I mean, he still gets the pop, but like I said, the slip he did, which I didn't really, can happen to
Oh my
anybody.
God, that slip.
It's just going to be used against him, just like
It
this
was
is what
bad
Triple
enough
H is
that
like.
he got everyone to chant his name just before it happened as well.
Hey,
I'm
everybody,
still
watch me fail. It's,
yeah. I don't
uh,
know if anyone caught it, but Randy just rolling out of the ring, he was wetting himself, crying with laughter at LA Knight's fumble because he had to stand there and watch to wait to take it. Oh, it's brilliant, but it's also very cringy at the same time.
yeah. All right. So scores then, Monty. What would you give the main event?
4.
Give it a 4. Gina.
Four.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 as well. Fuck it. Predictions. Gina went Randy. The rest went Cody. What's important about that, even on a 4 card show, it means that at least one of us got a match right. If you know what I mean by that. At least you guessed Randy, Gina. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, we'd all look like fools. At
Yeah,
least we know
again,
what's
it was
going on.
really difficult to choose between Cody and Randy, and I was so close to going Cody, and part of me just felt, no, I'll go with Randy with the assumption of something happening to Cody, to bar him from getting the win.
And so predictions, like I said, final scores: Gina and Monty on 2, Jackson James on 3. Look, she's not even here. She's still pissing me off. But guessing the box, Jaxie said Bianca. Gina, you did say Jericho. Monty, you said a dick or a social influencer, which I guess is the same thing. I said Downhausen. So point to me. Come on, guys. So the WNR Prediction League 2026. This is after Chamber. We've got Vengeance Day and Revolution coming up. It means WWE League Monty's on 0, Gina, James, and Jaxie on 1. Oh my God! Take a picture of that. And bonus. Jaxie on 5, Monty on 7, Gina on 8, and I am on 9. Excellent. Just excellent event overall. Speaking overall, Monty, start us off. So we need a match of the night, the MVP, and your score out of 10.
Punk, Finn Balor. Uh, I guess Randy. Yeah, Randy Orton. I guess he kind of because he's surprised. I didn't entertain him winning, and he did it. Score, I guess I'd probably go with like a 7.5 or so. I mean, I thought it was a good show. It has, like I said, I thought everything here was pretty good. I don't think anything on here was like great, but it was a good show.
Yeah. Gina, same question to you.
Um, Match is the men's chamber for me, and I'll give VIP MVP, sorry, to Rhea for getting the win. And overall give it a 7.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, my match is Women's Chamber MVP. I'll go for AJ Lee. And rating, I gave it 8.25. But I do hate 4 match PLEs. I really do hate them. Post show, Nick Aldis called Drew a son of a bitch. That's not very nice. Joe Test, Biggie, and Peter Robertsburg. Alderson interrupted the panel as he made Cody versus Drew on SmackDown for the WWE Championship. Why would Nick do that? What a prick. He shouldn't have squared up to Drew either. I mean, Gina, I don't know what's more shocking, Aldis' announcement or the fact it was on a post show. Do you know what I mean? Like, when does anything happen on a post show?
Yeah, I kind of woke up the next day to all of this online and I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't watch the post show. So for me, I had no idea what was going on and I just saw all of this. I just thought, well, shit. I mean, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I'll get into the match when we review it.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. AJ Lee joined the panel. She didn't say much. Ripley joined the panel. She said losing the tag titles was a bummer, but now she has a new goal. Monty, Triple H was interviewed backstage and not on the panel. Does that make him a coward because he's worried about the fan reaction, or is it just coincidence?
You know what? Maybe it does make him. I'd never even thought about that even being the reason. You know, to be honest, I really want him to talk a lot less. Maybe he finally starting to understand that his I'm going to be visible in every way possible approach is helping rub people the wrong way. So yeah, maybe the direct fan reaction, maybe it is getting to him. I don't know because I didn't even think about that. But
Nah,
yeah,
he wanted to avoid that hate after the Dan House and shit.
I don't think so because he said, "Oh, he don't even sound confident in Dan House."
Well,
They asked him about Dan House. Oh yeah, we in for a fun time. That's all he said.
he said Triple H also said he said everyone thought Cody would win. It's like you're booking the show trips. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't tell everybody what they're thinking. And I think that was the problem with Chamber, but it wasn't needed. Do you know what I mean? All these matches happen. The only thing that really, oh, Ripley, you're going to WrestleMania, Randy, you're going to WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? That's the only things, really. CM Punk joined the panel. Punk's face was busted up. Usual Punk stuff. He's proud to be from Chicago, believe it or not. I don't know. He says Roman can't be bothered to show up, and he's the one to sell out the arenas. And they tried to use this as a lead into AAA as well. Not a fucking chance. Orton joined the panel. He said he's getting number 15 at WrestleMania, and he's not used to fans being so nice. Incredibly, Gina, I was talking about Orton's stats earlier about his 10th chamber. This is his 196th PLE or pay-per-view for Randy Orton, and it's going to be his 21st WrestleMania. That's incredible. And as Monty said, the cunt wants to do it for another
Wow.
10 years. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
incredible when you put those numbers out there, to be honest. Like, yeah, again, for me, I started from the Attitude Era. So when you still think about when first came into it and where he is now, yeah, those numbers are just he's done a lot. He really has. And he's been consistent throughout it all.
Yeah, he says he knows his shit. And he also mentioned his son, Miles Bourne, in NXT, which I thought was a nice touch. Raw, March 2nd, we had Paul Heyman, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory threatening to hold the show hostage. If you want to give me an excuse not to watch Raw, do that, yeah? Several masked decoys appeared, grabbing the Hill's attention and leaving the Oracle long enough for the Visionary to blast him with a chair and deliver a stomp to the approval of fans. Monty, I don't know about you, but Seth, always with the chair to the back. You know, no matter he's always going to use that as his weapon, as his go-to signature.
PTSD.
I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you remember, James, but like I think he did something very bad to somebody with that chair in the past, right? Isn't that a callback to something?
Yeah,
They,
what I done?
they don't remind us every time he uses a chair, do they?
Um, Backstage, medics tended to a blooded Heyman until Jimmy Uso beat down Austin Theory, and LA Knight drove the wise man out the arena in an ambulance. This is what LA Knight should be used for. All right, like shit like that. I call it like Stone Cold shit of coming in an ambulance and going out. You know, in the arena, Dragon Lee attacked Gunther during the Ring NLL's entrance, jump starting their match. Lee absorbed everything Gunther threw at him, survived, and fought back in the match, but his rally was cut short. Gunther caught him, transitioned a sleeper, and removed Lee's mask to necessitate the tap out victory. I mean, Gina, this match was fucking red hot, and a lot of people have complained about Dragon Lee, you know, people taking a picture of Dragon Lee being unmasked, but I mean, they did the finish. Do you know what I mean? Dragon Lee must have agreed to it.
Yeah, definitely. I will say Gunther's such a cop out pulling the mask off because he knows that he'll get the win once that mask has been pulled off. So it's a bit of a cop out, but it was such a good match. Like it's just really showcasing Dragon Lee and just reminding you like he's here. You need to kind of know that he can be on the same level as Gunther. You know, if it wasn't for the fact of Gunther removing his mask, would he have passed out there? Would he have found some cool maneuver to get himself out of it again? You know, but yeah, again, I think people need to take it with a pinch of salt. I get that it's seen as a disrespectful way to pull off the Lucha Libre's masks, but they also need to understand this is how heels generate heat and keep themselves as heels in a way because they pull shit like that and stunts like that. And of course, we all know that it's going to be discussed backstage. Like, look, this is what I'm going to do for the finish. So there might be a chance that your face is going to be on show. I'm sure that was actually put there for Dragon Lee. So I can't imagine it was done out of spite in a spiteful way.
No, and again, like I say, Dragon Lee, whatever minutes he gets, he always maximizes them. You know, so I hope with this they'll put him on TV just a little bit more. AJ Lee promo, she credited the fans in believing in her and promised to be a fighting champion. I've heard that before. She said, "Ladies, show me what you've got." So apparently she's got an open challenge. Everybody's got an open challenge at this moment in time. Original Americano defeated Rayo. Rusev hopped in the announce table and called out Obafemi. The two big men brawled. The match is for next week on Raw. Lia Valkyria wants Bailey to get a WrestleMania match because, of course, we know what happened last year. She went to speak to Adam Pearce and Io Sky, exited the office, so maybe we'll get that. Jimmy Uso defeated Theory by DQ. Logan got involved with Jey Uso making the save. Ripley promo. She thanked Io Sky and said she'll be making her way over to SmackDown. And then Danhausen cursed Dom backstage. I'm sure Dom would be fine putting the Intercontinental title on the line against Penta. He demanded McDonough retrieve the bell hammer, only for Finn Balor to prevent him from giving it to the champion. Back in the ring, Penta dodged a 619 and scored the win with a Mexican Destroyer on his sixth try. He did it. He is your new Intercontinental champion. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
I think it was pretty cool for Penta, man. I thought this was fun. I'm not sure what this means for Mania when we gotta have a title change like this right now, but most likely it probably end up being a multi-man match, I guess, or maybe just a rematch with them. But I don't have a problem with it. I like it. It does. It play into. It gives Danhausen some a little bit of like strength in what he claims about the curses and stuff, and so I do love that part of it. And only thing I would wish is that I wish like maybe like the finish was even freakier, like just something really weird happened. And like maybe it could really just be so more obvious that he was cursed, but
Like a ghost
it still
hit,
worked
or
out.
like John Cena, you can't see me, just came out of nowhere and
Yeah,
hit him.
just something, yeah, like something, just like something you don't expect. Because like Judgment Day screwing up, and we really think about how many times Judgment Day didn't do what they were supposed to do. in finishes for Finn matches and Don matches for that matter. Then, it just kind of felt like another rudimentary way to do it, but it still worked. We get the point. He cursed him, he lost, and I think it's cool for Penta, man, because again, if you're not gonna, if you're definitely not rushing him and his brother back together for whatever reason, because I've already hoped that towards this mania, maybe we could work toward a brother versus brother match with them and the Usos. But if you're gonna if you're not gonna do that, if you don't want to put them together for whatever reason they have to keep them apart, Penta doing his own thing and being a single star. He's done it in the past. I mean, he's a former Impact World Champion. I know people don't like to talk about that because Impact is pretty rough in them times, but you know, he's a single guy too. He's capable, so I don't have a problem with it. I just don't know if this is like a long term thing or is this just a let's put over Danhausen and let's also try to make a fun Mania match for that belt with Penta going in as champ.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then for the first time since the February 2nd episode of Raw, Roman Reigns appeared in the show closing segment for the OTC Could Speak World Heavyweight Champion Punk. CM Punk cut him off with his own entrance. He reminded Reigns of their history in Indianapolis, dating back to the Shield's debut in the city at the 2012 Survivor Series. Get over it. The OTC hit back later by claiming WWE brought back Punk to appeal to the 34-year-old virgins living in their parents' basements. Hey, I'm in my own room, thank you very much. Reigns took shots at Punk, claiming he was miserable and complaining backstage that people rushed to tell him about. He promised to beat Punk, take the title back, and send him packing on his retirement tour with a trip to NXT. The Best in the World wrapped up the segment with fury in his eyes, reminding Reigns that there's no more backup, there's no more bloodline or the Shield, and at WrestleMania he's going to bury Reigns right next to his father. Jesus Christ, Gina. I mean, this is the thing. I do like Punk. Obviously, Punk's a sellout and all this bollocks, but he can deliver on the mic. And the retort to Reigns, and Reigns' reaction as well was like, "You motherfucker." Do you know? It made me more interested.
Yeah, definitely. In a way, I kind of want to think that that line was to add a bit of a heel effect for Punk in a way, because it's kind of like, ouch, you didn't really need to go that far or bring up the dead or mention the father, So in a way, I kind of took that as a bit of a, not that he's turning heel, but I was like, okay, Punk was like, well, you want me to give you a promo, then I'm going to give you standard heel Punk promos. So yeah, that was quite interesting. And like you said, Rowan was stood there shocked, like he just bitch slapped his mum in front of him or something like that. It wasn't until Punk was already like out and halfway walking back towards the stage that like you could see Roman start mouthing shit back, like, what the fuck do you just say? What did you just say? Like, it was just registering to him like what he actually had mentioned about his dad. So I mean, again, it does add to the tension and the build up for this match for sure. I'm just intrigued to see what Roman's going to come back with after that.
Yeah, I don't know how you can top. Yeah, exactly. Do you know?
Well, you
Unless
can't
like
exactly
Roman.
rip off his little bracelet and start that feud again.
Well, no, if it's like Undertaker and came back at WrestleMania 14, like Reigns will dig up Larry or something. Do you know what I mean? Like that's, but I don't think we'll get there. But I think, like you said, that's the levels that we are kind of looking at. A bit of news before we get on to SmackDown. Monty, I don't know how important this is. Road Dogg has stepped down as lead writer of SmackDown. Still not going to make it from 3 hours to 2 hours, but still, I don't know if this is
You
big,
said you
big
don't know how
news.
important that is. This is a God scene. This is heaven. This is. I mean, they could just replace him with somebody who sucks too, but still, like, yes, he gotta go. This is why SmackDown, even though SmackDown is my favorite WWE content for reasons that we mentioned earlier, because I got so many of my NXT people people that I watched grow up that I want them to succeed. But that is why when you pop up and you ain't seen a guy in weeks and you just happy that he on TV. It's the erratic, inconsistent, stupid booking. Hell, even with that stuff, I'll blame Road Dogg for making goddamn, I can't even think of the general manager's name right now. But I'm
Nick Aldis.
making Nick Aldis. Yeah, I'm about to call him Magnus. I don't know why I want to call him Magnus so bad. But anyway, making Nick Aldis say that thing wrong. Like everything that don't make sense, we blame on Road Dogg because when they announced that he was booking, we all had everybody who know And remember, when he took over SmackDown Live, he ran it into the ground. It's just what he does. Like, he's not a good final decision maker booker. He might be a good helper. He might be somebody who got a decent idea, but he is not a guy who needs to be making decisions week to week, because then stuff just start happening that don't make sense. Storylines drop. Tiffany Stratton fight the same person for 6 months. Like, all types of stuff happens that you don't need when Road Dogg is in the league. So yeah, it's a big thing for me, because if he was the one booking over the last year or so, besides the 3 hours being tough to get through, he ain't helping. He ain't making no easier to get through.
No, well, his ass better call somebody, I suppose. You know what I mean? But again, we'll see what happens. I think the thing they're missing out, because a lot of people talk about Triple H's booking as well and about the old man. I truly think they're missing someone like Pat Patterson. You know, a Finnish guy. Especially when I
Yes.
look at how the Rumble was recently, it was all, you know, and Pat Patterson was so vital putting those kind of matches together. Yeah, it's just a shame at this moment in time. SmackDown then March 6th. We're going to talk about it. Orton started the show. Talked about he only main evented WrestleMania twice. We knew that. Trick Williams came out to interrupt him, but was dropped by an RKO. But Trick Williams had the Bobby Roode-esque entrance, which, Gene, I don't know if you know, but I love Bobby Roode back in the day. And to see Trick taking on that mantle is just, it brings a tear to my eye. Kamala Hayes held another US Open challenge. His challenge was answered by El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. It's interesting. I mean, Gina, do you see this coincidence? Melo has now beaten a TNA and AAA champion, you know, just to maybe keep those companies in check. I guess it's not. I guess it's just a coincidence.
Maybe it's a coincidence, and maybe it's just to help elevate Meadow even more, to show he's beaten other champs from other promotions.
Yeah, fuck TNA. Nia Jackson left came out to celebrate winning the tag titles, but they were cut off by Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Julia and Kiana James showed up. This led, of course, to a tag match where Bliss and Charlotte beat James and Julia. Zayn and Cody had a tense exchange backstage before we went to the tag team turmoil match to determine the number one contenders. Fraxium defeated the Motor City Machine Guns. Angel and Bertel defeated Fraxium and then defeated Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis. And then Damien Priest and R-Truth defeated Angel and Berto. Of course, Tonga and Tangaloa showed up to Costa White 6. So it looks like that feud's going to get going. Monty, that is the state of the SmackDown tag division now. I don't even know where the Street Profits are. You know, you mentioned Montez Ford. It's like, are they gone from WWE? What's going on, you know?
Nobody knows. Seriously, last time I seen them, they were wrestling at NXT house shows. I have no clue. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
And maybe you can add to this, well, Rhea and Cargill were the face to face. Cargill shook Ripley's hand and said she respects her, what she has accomplished. Ripley says she respected her honesty, but said Jay's body is only built for show, whilst hers was built for fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's start with the controversy based from this segment. So before I would tell in the order it happened. I'm gonna go ahead and talk to everybody who's talking about how this storyline was a softball, or like this segment was softball, and I 100% agree. I don't know if it's true about the theories that Jade and Rhea, because I don't know if you guys know, but on the internet was very abuzz about Rhea and Jade Cargill, mostly because of their social media interactions, basically since Rhea won the Elimination Chamber. But it started something like, it, they were going back and forth, and Jade basically said something to the hint, basically saying, I think Rhea told her all you do is talk, and Jade was like, oh, like you talk to creative. Somehow this turned into Rhea being offended and like saying I'm not, on her Instagram talking about like breaking the fourth. I don't disrespect people's character to break the fourth wall and blah 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 blah. So I don't know how, because I don't know how they got to that point. It felt like Rhea was playing the victim to me, because like I don't know how you get to that point, because how many wrestlers do we know? I mean, they call Cody Hogan one week, they call Sammy Hogan the next week. I mean, like, it's not really a diss for somebody to say that you be with creative, but I think that comes from a place of what fans have said, because fans have made some very disrespectful lying comments about Triple H and Rhea's off-screen relationship, which yeah, I don't. People just gotta say hurtful things, I guess, to explain why Rhea is who she is, not the fact that she earned it and she just is who she is. But anyway, I think some of that kind of got took out on Jade. But for some reason, Chelsea Green, who have, if you know, Chelsea Green and Jade have kind of had, disagreements in the past. And for some reason, Chelsea Green had some petty things to say about, and like basically bigging up Rhea, but kind of throwing shade on Jade, and they went back and forth. And then also Piper Niven got in, and it gave off the vibe to me that Jade was basically being jumped online. And then we get these reports about Jade being, Jade is being difficult to work with, and she don't whatever. She having foster relationships with other people. And stemming from that, we just got a whole bunch of myths. But because of all of that in that article and people trying to make whatever they were making points that they were making all week leading up to SmackDown, a lot of people were anticipating this segment. And then we get that promo. We get the promo about physiques. And like it's like, oh, okay, so y'all must be trying to turn the heat down on this. Whether people got offended for real and maybe they don't want things to go too far outside of this feud, but the heat was actually pretty high for fans. So like people wanted them to kind of lean into it and kind of acknowledge some of that back and forth on social media, and they just kind of ignored it and didn't want to bring it up. Like I said, I got two reasons for that. Like a lot of people were saying, like, oh, no, Triple H don't want women in the main event. And sure, maybe he don't. But also, I believe that, maybe some tension really is there, whether it's just between Rhea and Jade or just Jade and a plethora of other women. And they just want to stoke that fire by not acknowledging it, and let's just keep this feud disconnected from it. All I will say is that it's never a good look to me when a bunch of, and this is me speaking from my perspective, but we are like in corporate, any African American person, no, in corporate America, and especially over here, if you get labeled as difficult to work with, a lot of times that means something completely. It's not lost on me. Let's just say it that way. It's not lost on me that it's always us kind of getting labeled as difficult to work with. And when it's three women who don't look like her jumping her on social media, and the only person I can see even remotely kind of jumping in is of course Charlotte, because Naya even jumped in, and we know who side Naya on, which is not Jade. So yeah, but then Charlotte, the only person showing support for Jade is like Charlotte in comments and stuff like that. And we know Charlotte's relationship with the locker room has been up in the air. It's a mess. I stay out of their business, but I just know that did add a lot of heat to the potential of this feud. And I just want to tell all the fans, anybody who want to comment on this, especially the ones saying, "Oh well, Naomi and Jade Naomi and Jade didn't have, Naomi and Bianca didn't have this problem because they know how to stay in their place." I want you to think about what you're saying when you say that. Yeah, we just kind of leave it there because, like, once we start getting to them nasty comments, then you're almost confirming, like, the unspoken thing is there that we kind of can feel. And I could be speaking a little bit over other people's heads, but just trust me, it's a lot there. But we'll see if they lean more into it. But I do think Jade and Rhea could add a little bit more fire to that feud because all of that physique talk and all of that, I don't know if it did anything for y'all, but to me, it's just like, oh, okay, we just trying to make this a basic feud. But I think if you add a little personal to it, if you trust Rhea and them to be professional, I think that can help this feud because why not? Like, I think that's what kind of helped past feud if they can keep it professional. And I guess it's all about trust level when it comes to professional level. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, there's a lot going on about this little segment that really, if you don't know any of that, you'll be like, oh, that was what it was, and just move on. But with all of that, that's why social media is kind of buzzing around this feud, and that people are keeping their eyes on it. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, Gina was interested in it to, like I said, to possible things that are happening, maybe with comments. But again, talk about how basic the segment was, and maybe they just didn't want another Tiffany Stratton kind of Charlotte moment. Do you know what I mean? With kind of off the cuff comments to each other to really annoy him, or maybe in a way, can Ripley and Cargill actually do that? Or as Monty mentioned earlier, these women should just be having squash matches each week and having confrontations afterwards rather than maybe battling on microphone, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, like we were saying earlier, promos are not even necessarily needed because the matches that's been set in place is already of a high enough caliber that, like, sometimes you don't need to have a promo to remind us of any beef between them, or, you could have even just been like, Nick Aldis turning up one day and saying, listen, Jade Cargill's our champion and she's demanding a match with Io Sky because she wants to just go after your friend. They could just do some matches like that still keeps a link between them. But you could see it's getting more and more deeper between them because they're both going to be demanding like matches with people that are possibly close to them or something. Rhea could say, right, well, I want to fight Jordan Grace and I'm going to beat her quicker than Jade beat her, or something like that. You could think of other creative ways to still promote this match without just chucking some lines together in chat GPT and giving it to them to go and do to keep the interest buzzing. If you're not going to let them just freestyle it, which is why some of the Attitude Era promos has some of the best promos, because a lot of it was a lot of freestyled, or people just losing their patience and just saying whatever they wanted on the mics. Yeah, just stop wasting time. You've got you've got 3 hour shows going ahead of you, and I just feel like there's not enough wrestling happening on these shows.
No, I completely agree. Johnny Gargano woke up from his sleep to get destroyed by Obafemi. Danhausen was shown talking to Aldis to find a mentor who would take him to the top. Aldis saw the Miz and told him to mentor Danhausen, but the A-lister ended up cursed instead. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes along. And then the main event of the night was the WWE Championship match between our WWE champion Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. They traded finishers. Wasn't a bad match. McIntyre ended up intentionally knocking out the second referee I mean, that should have been a DQ. McIntyre put his hands on the second ref. Ref should have called for the bell, and that should have been it. Instead, Jacob Fatu came in and took the chair away that Drew was going to use. Rose hit a cut from the top rope, followed by a crossroads, and, well, you know the rest. Monty, what were your thoughts on this? Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm surprised you let me do this first. I thought I was gonna let you shoot from the hip, but you know what? I don't really got a lot to say other than, man, like, if you're surprised by this, uh, it's a difference between what I think both of you might be. I don't think you guys are surprised by this result as much as you just wanted something else to happen, and I think that's all. That's fine. But if you surprised, I'm not trying to say you don't watch wrestling, but man, you out your mind. I don't understand. Like, that was the story. Like, if you think WWE is a storyline place, the story was always going to be, and not because I know that Cody basically is the only reason why Drew had this run in the first place, by basically begging Triple H to let Drew beat him in one of those matches so they can do something different. But not only that, it's just like the element of just like, because Drew couldn't leave his obsession with Cody alone, much like when he was obsessed with Punk, much like when he, even though the Roman thing, I can't say was like an obsession. I mean, I guess he was obsessed with becoming champion, but he kind of was he was the victim in the Roman situation. But before that, but after that, everything he's basically done since basically being 100% the bad guy, pretty much. When he has this over obsession and he just can't leave well enough alone, he ends up paying. And like, I just hate. I think the real thing to be mad at, more so than people calling out or saying Cody Hogan or saying, "Oh my goodness," and I just want to say that too. For all the fans who want to act, oh, whether you're oppressed with whether you like Cody's run or not. Which, by the way, this is a sign that you've made it, because I remember it's people who talking about Cody like he is the most forced. I saw my act literally say he's the most forced champion. Like Roman Reigns 2015 never happened. Like Super Cena at his worst has never happened. Now I do think this stuff got this. I do think Cody's run at times have something in common with that, but that's by design. And it's just like, I don't understand why y'all so surprised when they've already. Why do you think he say he's quarterback one? Like, why do you think he say he's the? Why do you think they did all this stuff to give him the spot from Roman? This is kind of how they book their top guys. Now, can we wish for something different? Of course we can. But I just wish people would just, like, come on now, like, relax with all the blaming Cody. Like, if I got a problem with anything, my problem would be with us doing it like this and like having it be after Elimination Chamber and like the placement of it all and just making Drew feel more like a transition, or instead of finding a way to weave Drew into the Randy Orton match or whatever. If you wanted Randy and Cody, I just think we could be more creative and we can get ways to get there without having to make Drew just look like a stand-in. But other than that, it's not really a shock because this was always, in my opinion, the plan. And if you, I think you're just in denial if you don't want to admit that. But yeah, this is not the most. Cody is not the most overbooked champion because people forget Cody first run he was basically booked like a jobber for like a decade. Like people forget that, but yeah, he's booked like a superhero now. But that he wasn't always. It wasn't always that way. But I get it. Maybe you're just tired of that booking style. But that's just going that do you really like WWE or not? You're gonna have to ask yourself that because they've always done it this way.
Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm annoyed for Drew because again, in a way, I do feel like he was just made a transitional champion here, but I'm also not surprised and I'm not mad at Cody for this result. I also had a feeling that they always wanted it to be Cody versus Randy at WrestleMania. So as soon as I saw the news that Nick Aldis announced this match between Cody and Drew, I already knew. I already knew this was coming because their end goal was going to be Cody versus Randy. I'm not necessarily mad at it. Do they need the belt in the title in the picture to have this match? They could have built on the animosity between Cody and Randy a bit more and, kept it more of a grudge match rather than a championship match, and maybe kept Drew and Jacob Fatu feuding and them going on to WrestleMania. But then again, it makes the matches a bit more higher at stakes when there's a title involved. So I can understand why they've done this. I just, in a way, do feel for Drew. Part of me is like he shouldn't have won it at all, or he should have lost it maybe a bit earlier in the year and then build on Cody and Randy a bit more. But for it to happen when it did, like literally, a week after the chamber sort of thing, it does feel a little in bad taste, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm also still not mad at the match because I kind of had a feeling that this was what they wanted for WrestleMania.
Yeah, but, no, I'm not. Again, I mean, McIntyre's reign comes to an end, and maybe we should just be happy it happened because I've watched WWE for a long time. Done the podcast for nearly 10 years now, so it really shouldn't surprise me when stuff like this happens because we know what WWE do. They revert to type, they revert to the superstars. They've done it over the years. Look at Hogan for the first 10 WrestleManias. Look at Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock
Yep.
even. Excuse me. It's Roman Reigns. But the depressing thing is, in the last 10 years, even going back to like 2014 or 2012, in WWE you had the Shield, and you had CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. They didn't even want to push Daniel Bryan at that point. They were forced to by the fans turning against Roman to actually put him there. Punk was fucked out of the WrestleMania main events back in the day with The Rock and John Cena as well. So I understand it. You have to, if WWE, you either seen as a top star or you go away and come back to then be able to be put in that position. Look at how they treated Dean Ambrose, and look what John Moxley's doing now. And this is why it's impressive. People like AJ Styles can come to WWE, maybe hold the title a couple of times, and have a Hall of Fame career because you're always going to go back to your Randy Ortons. You're always going to go back to your Roman Reigns. You're always going to go back to your CM Punks. Even in the women's division, you're still going to go back to your Ray Ripleys and stuff like that. And that's what WWE do, And it's like we even know next year it's probably going to be Cody versus Punk and Gunther versus Roman because they're the two big matches that we haven't done. So we should just get, what I mean? We just get used to it. But it's just for me, it's the same thing over and over again, and it's people like LA Knight or not given a chance, and I just hope Trick Williams and Obafemi and Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov and Javon Evans can get through that and hold, the championship for a little bit until they revert back to type. And so yeah, it's a shame, but yeah, I'm done. So Monty, what were your thoughts on WWE this month?
Uh, Again, I think it was some solid stuff, but it was also a lot of just like you mentioned. I think the thing that they got the most frustrating thing about WWE right now is just how monotonous everything comes off. Even like you just mentioned with the decision making and all of that. I can tell you that this is just what WWE does. That doesn't mean everybody got to be okay with it or just accept it. I just think so. I understand both sides of it. It's just more so of an element of just like everything. We got so much television and so much stuff done. But if you really think about everything we talked about today, how much actually did we accomplish? Like to get towards Mania. Like we got matches set up, but when it just all the open challenges don't like this does not feel like for the first time I've ever seen going into a WrestleMania, they just spitballing to try to figure out what to fit. Like just I've never been in a run like this where we get a whole bunch of just okay, you just move on to the next thing. But if we look at the WrestleMania card and we look at what's getting us there outside of what they've done with the Roman and Punk. And mind you, those segments, those are 2 weeks out of all the shows we talked about.
Yep.
So, yeah, just like we just now get Cody now. So now they got however many weeks now to start with the Randy and Cody push. But it just feels like, for some reason, all the open challenges, I don't get it. Like, why does Brock, I mean, Brock, okay, whatever. You limit his TV time. He probably only got, he had however many bookings anyway. But AJ Lee already just offering up an open challenge and just like we don't have plans, we don't have people in mind, we don't have stories we want to tell. We just spitballing here outside. That's the most annoying part. The TV shows are monotonous, and they seem like they're making decisions on the fly. So it's just I don't know. It's very very weird. Again, I don't want to act like it's all horrible because I've definitely probably been in worse periods. But yeah, it's just not necessarily it's not ideal. It's not ideal.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So that's it. We'll leave on a really depressive note. Don't forget, of course, all social media. X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod. James, you can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Gina, where can people find and follow you?
You can find me on Twitch and X at Purple Pain.
And Monty?
At my Monty Pod on Twitter.
I think the double also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to podcast at gmail.com and YouTube podcast where we're approaching 11 years of the WNR and we have got all the shorts. I've started WB2K26 again. It's not another thing that's pissed me off because of just the price of it. It's behind all the characters that were available in 2K25 are now behind like a paywall, which again just sums up fucking WWE sometimes. I'm going to keep it together, but it winds me up. So watch me getting wound up on YouTube, and the podcast is live on YouTube, also on SoundCloud, on your phone, and Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. We'll be back in WWE the night of WrestleMania. So we'll catch up with Raw and SmackDown and do our predictions, and that is the next time with WWE. Next episode is NXT update because we've not done an NXT update in so long. We'll catch up with a bit of NXT next week, and of course we've got AEW Revolution in a couple of weeks' time. But until then, I've been James Bones, and I was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, thank you for joining me again.
No problem. I'm up to date on Dynamite, but even if as invested I am on AEW, I will not watch Collision for some reason. I have no clue. Go ahead.
Yeah, and of course, the genius of Gina. Look, Gina, I know you didn't win, but you took a chance and you got the Randy Orton one right.
Yeah, I did take a chance. I'm still pleased that I still got 50% of it right though, but that's easy when you got 4 matches on the match card. So we'll see how I feel and whether we're still positive in the next WWE one for WrestleMania.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody, and